a good rule of thumbs, in my opinion, when it comes to things like commentary, is just like general comparison of other games, other scenes. Because I grew up like watching esports. I grew up being a kid watching CS:GO, watching Smash, all types of games, and it was always like intense. Like the commentary was always intense, and it made me like I was watching a movie or something.
Yeah.
And Brawl kind of was like that at a point, especially at like the big lands, like BCX. But then it got to a point somewhere in like the past like 3 years where it just became so unserious. Like I can't even watch tournaments anymore with like the audio on. I usually will mute the stream and stream my own POV, and I'll have like 300 viewers because they don't want to hear the stream because they know the stream is just kind of unserious. And it's not even like out of disrespect, but it's more just like whenever, especially online tournaments happen, it's like the commentators aren't even looking at the screen
Uh-huh.
half the time. And I think they just aren't. I can't lie. I honestly think that most of the commentators probably just aren't really paying attention to what's happening. Like, there's a plethora of things. Like, one, most of the commentators don't even know what they're like looking at when they are looking at the game. Like, they'll see someone do a combo like Fate, Orb, Sidelight, and Sig, which is a confirmed unjumpable combo that catches whenever they don't have a dodge. Very simple, and that combo will be hit, and it's like, oh, is that combo? Is that a true combo? I've never seen that before. He hit the sidelight decent combo, and it's like, bro, what? Like, bro, what? It's like that will happen. There's times where not even times, like this happens at least like a couple times every major where like something important happens and we just all just ignore it. Like someone will get gimped or someone will hit a crazy combo or like something like that will happen and the casters kind of just ignore it and just completely disregard it as if it never happened, especially in twos because twos can be very chaotic and it's hard to keep track of everything. But like even with that tweet that I just posted, like Fakey dropped a true combo that was a game-winning combo, and they were talking. Sparky was talking about like tornadoes and shit, and he was talking about the tornadoes because he was saying like he's stuck in the middle, but he went on like such like a long tangent. Like he ended up missing 30 seconds of gameplay because he wanted to talk about the tornado for so long. And I feel like that kind of stuff happens a lot. Like it happens at least 5 times every tournament, every major tournament, to a point where it just doesn't feel serious. It's like it. I feel like commentary is just about like setting the tone. But if the tone is not set properly, it's literally just troll, and there's no reason to watch it because it's just like, especially when you're watching the commentary, you're either supposed to get like just general good commentary or like some kind of like analysis. So like a new
Hmm.
player could watch the tournament and see what's
Yeah.
happening. But the commentators be just as confused as the golds that watch the tournaments. To be honest, like
Bro, like, not to cut you off, but like, I tweet this like just now for instance, like commentators are supposed to be able to convey like high level Brawlhalla to the casual scene. Like I feel like my parents should be able to watch a Brawlhalla tournament and understand vaguely what's going on, even though they don't play video games like that. Like they should vaguely be able to understand the atmosphere and like oh like in this moment this guy is in trouble or oh this is close to happening, whereas opposed to like I feel like the casters have kind of in the in the majors they kind of set this tone of like almost like goofiness, like like it's goofy, but I don't like view it like that. Like I like it, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the community share the sentiment. I like it when they convey it how it is, which is I feel like it's intense. We're playing for thousands of dollars here. Like it's like I think it's gotten a little bit better now, like recently, but like back in the day, bro, when I would like play my set and then I would look on the Twitch stream and I'm like nervous. I'm like I feel like I'm about to throw up, and I watch the set and it's just like goofy. Like it's just for them, it's chill. But like that's not the atmosphere that they should be trying to convey. Like at
yeah,
least
like
in
this
my
shit is
opinion.
serious, bro. Like these
Yeah, like
tournaments are serious.
it
This
should
is
be intense.
serious shit. I threw up at BCX before my set, bro. Like this shit is not a game, bro. I swear it's not a game, bro. But then you go and watch the VOD, like damn, I was so nervous in this set. Like I dropped my true combo, like, but I clutched it up. I hit some crazy combo. You go back to the VOD to see what the commentator said, and it's just like nothing. They didn't say shit. Not only that, but they're cracking jokes about your hairline or some shit. Like they're just like making all types of jokes, and they're just like, I feel like the main problem that I noticed is that it's all like it's almost like clip farmy to a certain degree. Like whenever I do see the commentators doing like the more like goofier stuff, it's usually just like trying to make it about them. There's a lot of times where like the commentators on the tournaments kind of act as if we all watch the major tournaments to see them. Where it's like they always are getting posted. Like we never get post game interviews. The pros never get interviewed. The pros never get any screen time. But we can go watch slow motion gaming hit the fucking Dougie on main screen during a LAN. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't really make any sense. Like if we're gonna have all this like goofiness, extra screen time that's unnecessary, at least give it to like the top players because that's what we're all watching the tournament for anyway. You know, like I feel like it would be like for example, like in the crowd of max mode, you know, they'll see like a dev and they'll zoom in on the dev, but it's like it like that could have been like it'll be like a bunch of pros behind that dev that you could have zoomed in on and like had them on the camera. Maybe you could have interviewed them and asked them how they felt about the tournament. But it's just kind of like the focus of the LAN events are always so like oriented on the talent and like the commentary, and the commentators themselves like a lot of the time they just don't really have any urgency. Like they don't like really care about what they're watching. Like when Marky Moo just clipped this shit out of Sandstorm and it was just like, oh, he's dead. All right, GG's. Obviously, you know that was a whole other thing that I'm not even gonna go into because y'all ended up like clearing that up, whatever, with that video. But like it's just been like slowly getting more and more and more unserious as time has been going on. Surely just because of like the lack of intensity, there's no like tone setting. It's all just like it's all a joke. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of just like that's kind of fucked up. I don't know. I feel like there's so many important crucial moments because as a pro myself, whenever I'm watching tournaments, like I'm paying very close attention to like the movement, how fast they're moving, like the options they're looking for. And obviously, you know, a commentator who's not like a pro isn't going to be able to see everything, but like I feel like you and Dara and Taza do a good job at least like having the overall game knowledge. It's like, okay, this person's trying to pressure this person's scared, this person's like looking for the confirm, and they're like trying to get this combo, but they know, so they don't want to get too greedy. You know, like the overall normal fighting game stuff. But like, I feel like most of the time, like even when they are on topic talking about the game, it's never like anything really of substance that like enhances the gameplay. Like when they do talk about the game, it's just like very basic shit. Like one thing that I noticed, the commentators literally only just say the names of the moves that are being
Yeah,
hit.
that's bad,
It's
bro.
like they're either talking about like what the fuck they ate at dinner today, or it's like N light, he hit N light, he hit D light, looking for the Sayer, he hit the Sayer. You know what I'm saying? But like they're not talking about like the actual like in depth aspect of the gameplay. Obviously, you know it could be hard to tell what is really happening or what's wanted, but it's like it just seems kind of lazy. It's not
I think,
intense. It's just like on serious.
yeah, I think in general. So when I look at Brawl, like you know, you can compare it to other esports, but I honestly think Brawlhalla has the potential to transcend like esports. Like when I look at Brawl and then I watch other things that are in esports, like the UFC for example. Like I watch the UFC and I think how this could apply to Brawl. Like you, like as in how they could run it like Brawl. Like if you listen, like I listened to some YouTube short about Joe Rogan and he's talking about how he when he's watching UFC fight, he's trying to translate like you know the ground game, which is you know not a lot of people understand that, but he's trying to translate it to the audience, and he's really make sure like that people know when he's in trouble and putting the spotlight on the fighters, and I think that's like kind of in general the way that Brawlhalla Esports should be structured more is putting the spotlight on the like the actual players like and what he was talking about earlier where it's like you know they show people in the crowd like I think there could be so many cool things of like you know growing the players brands or showcasing the players personalities where you know you put the crowd cam on them or there's more interviews or you put more spotlight on the players and what they're doing and the nuances of their gameplay or even just conveying storylines like that's one of the most important things in my opinion like um being able to like convey like the context of a certain set like I'm not you know I didn't watch like I didn't watch the Springs Grands with commentary on, but I think what should have happened is they should be talking about how Experience got dropped by Cutie the tournament before and was clearly upset by it on Twitter, and then he just 6-0'd him in Grands. Like I feel like that should be a big deal. Like being able to convey the context of the set to something that needs to happen more, putting the spotlight on the players and showcasing the players' personalities to happen more. And you should really, because at the end of the day, when people are watching Brawlhalla, they're watching Brawlhalla for a couple reasons. One, they want to see high level gameplay, and two, the story. I think is what keeps people in Brawlhalla Esports is the story of the sets and the story of, oh, I like this guy because this happened with him, and like being able to convey that context really matters a lot, and you can really suck people into like Brawlhalla Esports in that way, and that's how I think things should genuinely be run.
I completely agree. Yo, Meg, I see you here. Do you want to request to speak? Maybe put some points up. But yeah, like pretty much what Flower said. It's like there's a big lack of everything, and I feel like it could all be solved by just looking at what other games talk about. If you go and compare any Brawlhalla set to a CS:GO LAN, it's just blown out the water, bro. Like,
yeah, no,
so
yeah.
I'll give my perspective on that, because that's something that I hear a lot about like Brawlhalla commentary, and I think like these same criticisms that are being presented, I think are very similar to the criticisms that Smash casters get as a whole, and I think that there needs to be an understanding that I cannot commentate Brawlhalla the way that people commentate Counter-Strike, just because of the way that the game is like. So like I totally understand the idea of like, oh, we, like I can definitely empathize with like wanting more storylines and whatnot, but there's a lot of like things that make commentary, especially Brawlhalla specifically, because I know like you or Flower were talking about how like Brawlhalla can transcend esports, and I think that Brawlhalla is in this spot where it's actually the hardest platform fighter to commentate, because things are relatively quick to happen. If you look at a game like Smash, for example, where you're looking for air dodge reads and DI mix-ups and advantage states happen to be a lot longer, where you're literally in hit stun for longer, it allows people to talk about macro game plan and like the mood of a game much better than when like kind of hits a D-Light Sair at 110 damage. There's not a lot for a caster like us to add on besides the fact that a D-Light's there connected and now you're off stage and kind of is going to, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot different, at least from my perspective of having to cast Brawlhalla and it being
I think you do a good job already. I think you do it just fine.
Yeah.
But
like, sorry, let me go first. But like two things, like one, with that specific example, I think like this might just be from like pro player perspective. Like obviously I put like thousands of hours in this game, so like this seems obvious to me, but like you can kind of talk about where that like led up to. Like, okay, call them out for being grounded, or even something simple like that, or at least seems simple to me. Like kind of called him out for being grounded, or kind of pressured him into jumping and then caught his landing. Like things like that, where it's like, you kind of put a little bit more like emphasis on the specific nuance instead of just he had D-Light Sair. So that, and also like what you were talking about with like, I don't expect you to cast Brawlhalla like how CSGO casters cast CSGO, but what, and I, not to speak for Woody, but when I think of like how I want Brawlhalla casters to be like CS, is I want like the same excitement, the same voice inflection. Like me and Woody before this, we were watching like some clips from CS, and it's like, when you like listen to them, like they sound so like excited, like from the moment, like
the enthusiasm is crazy. Like they start freaking out.
Coldzera saved the Winnosity with the outplay.
Yeah. I think BCX is always hype. But one thing that I do want to touch on though, you were mentioning how like Smash has the same problem, but I actually prefer. I think Smash has like a different set of problems, but I actually do like Smash commentary mainly because like Smash commentators know their shit. Like they know all the text and all of like the shit. Like when you go and watch them, it's like they seem so knowledgeable. I learned so much from watching Smash tournaments because they'll talk about some like footstool confirmed that's only good on this character at this. Like they'll talk about things that I didn't even know about. And I'm not like insane at Smash or anything yet, but like I feel like the problems with Ultimate is just that like, sometimes they're like a bit too lax, but they at least can do really like high level commentary when it comes to just like knowing all the shit. I get so sad. Like, for example, Foda was commentating Max Mode. He was watching Sandstorm play on Mirage. He said, I've never seen Sandstorm play Mirage before. Keep in mind, Sandstorm won 2 majors on Mirage, and Foda literally commentated the major that he won on Mirage. You know what I'm saying? It's like the...
Yeah, to give Foda some credit here, like, what he does is for his work... he's not a caster anymore. Like he is thinking about Brawlhalla more than any single person in the entire world is maybe. Like he's constantly like doing things behind the scenes because that's what his job is now. So like I would like to give people some like casters forget things, like give it some grace, I think. Yeah. But no, I get what you mean. Yeah.
He's saying I really like Foda's commentating, but I think it's not the point that Foda is doing this poorly. I think it's more of the fact that like when you see that and like you're watching like that's like misconveying like like the experience, in my opinion. And like even
Yeah.
like I don't blame Photo for that. Like I love some of Photo's casting. I love when Photo's like, oh, like
Yeah,
Photo's
Photo has
one of the
energy.
passionate casters. Like I fuck with that, but it's just like misconveying the experience. But also, and I like what you said about Photo thinks about Brawlhalla like more than anyone else. I think like I like to see when I hear about your mentality about like casting and stuff. This is why I think you're a good caster, is because like I feel like you genuinely try to like improve on your casting. Like when I'm like I don't know, this might not like make sense to some other people, but like when I'm really locked in on something, like with something that's like my job, quote unquote, like I will look constantly to like improve on that thing, and like I'll take people's criticism, like even when I'm doing something else, like it's always kind of in my head. Like I would like casters to be able to adopt this, like of even watching other sports or even watching like baseball and seeing like, okay, how do these people talk about it? Like maybe I can implement that. Like I would like to hear that. Whereas opposed to, because the last time that we had a casting controversy, what I didn't like to see was, and I know Sparky, I heard that Sparky is going to be looking over this in his Twitch stream. So, and this is kind of pertains to him. Like when I saw like that video about the Brawlhalla casting, I don't agree with everything in that video, but I do agree with some things. And I think that like a problem that I see is that casters will see people giving criticism about their casting, and they'll kind of like deflect. Like they'll be like I remember watching that Twitch stream, and instead of addressing the points, or because if it were me and like someone was like, yo, you're not doing a good job, bro, and like here's multiple examples, I would be like, you're right, my bad, I'm gonna try to improve. But it was more like, it kind of turned more like, no, like my job is super hard, and not taking like the criticism. I would like to see like casters take the criticism and improve upon it, and like have a passion like for their casting, even if like I get like it's not your guys' like whole world, but like I would just like to see that mentality more that I see out of you and the other casters, if that makes sense.
So
Yeah, I feel like I've not seen much improvement with like most of the casting.
okay.
I do have to say though,
Uh-huh.
I like with the casters that have improved, I think Darmgar has improved a lot. I think you have improved a lot. I think what's his name? Walt has improved a lot. Like I
I like
see,
Duke commentary. I like Duke.
yeah, I like Duke's commentary. Like I see improvement, but with that, but it's just like, especially with like these newer casters, like before, like I would be listening to commentary like these guys don't know what they're talking about. Now, like I'm watching, like, hey, like how we know that? Like that's what I'd be thinking.
Yeah.
Like I do see that you guys improve, but I don't know. Like I just think specifically out of some of the older casters, we need to see like more improvement. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I just want to talk very quickly because you were talking about like the last time and like casters deflecting criticism. So I want to give like, so first of all, I'm not going to speak on how other people handled the criticism because I wasn't a part of the video at all. I wasn't mentioned at all. So I just like, I didn't really have to say anything. But what I will say is that there was, like people talk a lot about that Marky Moo Sandstorm clip, right? People forget that Walt was on the desk with TK in that clip, and Walt has like tremendously improved his commentary and has like totally understood like, okay, if this is what people are expecting of me to like bring more energy, I think he's been like doing that. So I think like literally an example that everyone likes to point at is TK and Walt on that Marky Moo Sandstorm set. I think if you look at their commentary work after that event, where like both of, or TK specifically, I know talked a lot about like it was a really bad weekend, and like I'll own up to it, I had a bad weekend, and then he proceeded to do really really well in the future events. I think the energy after that video and after that event went up a lot. And once again, it's really easy to like nitpick these things, but I think we all need to remember that like the casters reflecting or deflecting criticism, like I don't really see a lot of that, like personally. Like I'm not
That's all I
exactly
see, in my
sure.
opinion. That's literally all I see. I don't think I've seen a single commentator like admit to like just fucking up and being like, yeah, I don't even know why I wasn't saying shit. They usually just like, obviously, people have their reasons. There's a reason for everything, but that reason doesn't mean that I gotta be okay with it, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Especially if it's like a LAN, bro. Like if it's some really important shit, it's like, yeah, like you were like bored or something, or like you were in a bad mood. But it's like, bro, am I supposed to just be like, all right, fuck it, bro? Like just terrible commentary, nice. Like especially like in that fakey clip where they were talking about a tornado for 30 seconds while he dropped the game losing combo. I feel like I would just be so pissed. Like if I was speaking, I went back to the VOD and saw that, it would just like, and obviously you could say like, oh, you know, I was just kind of distracted because this happened, but it's like, bro, I don't want to hear it. To be honest, I don't know. Like
Yeah. So
if it's your job, you gotta try, bro. You just
that
gotta try at least.
yeah, for sure. I think I quickly want to like talk about that clip in particular because I know like that was like an example you gave me. What I will say is that like what they obviously dropped like that moment, but I think that there's an understanding that like when somebody makes a metaphor, like there's a ebb and flow of commentary. So like in this situation, right, Sparky makes a metaphor and then he tries to make like a quick quippy reference and then Duke follows up on it. Like I think that in that moment it's very very awkward as well, equally as awkward to just completely stop that conversation and be like, oh yeah, you know, like I think it's called Eye of the. Oh, Fakey just dropped a sidelight. You know, like
No, that's just perfect. No, that's literally perfect.
No,
that would be literally perfect.
Yeah.
Though.
So see, that's interesting because I think that as a caster, it's very very like faux pas to break ebb and flow of conversation in a way that's awkward for the audience too, because I've definitely seen conflicting blocks where people are like trying to do one thing and then somebody else is just like completely like jumping thing, and then people are in the chat like, what are these casters doing? Like they're just not, there's no chemistry at all, there's just one guy talking. Like I think there needs to be some sort of like understanding that as a caster you need to hold a conversation. That's how I feel about it.
I think see, here's the thing, like with this like I think like what you said were, you know, I have the Swisher. Oh my god! Like I think that would have been better. And I've casted community tournaments before. Like I cast community tournaments in Paul, and I understand how you don't want to talk over each other, you don't want to interrupt each other. But I think what matters more over that is conveying the moment, like conveying.
Yeah, the bit is not worth more than the moment, and not only that, but I feel like, bro, the sense of urgency to stop talking because of what the fuck you just saw is worth so much more than the fucking tornado bit. Like I think that the sense of urgency, it sets the tone. If some crazy shit happened, act like some crazy shit happened because that was crazy. Don't try to ignore it because you want to convey the tornado bit and act like play it cool, because no one cares about the tornado bit enough to completely ignore the combo. I feel like obviously like the flow and whatever, but the sense of urgency is important. That's why like it's supposed to be intense. You're not supposed to like know. It can't just be like smooth sailing the entire time, because that's not what, especially like a game as fast as Brawlhalla, that's not what it's about. Like shit will throw you off. And I feel like it's important to encapsulate like that the moment was crazy by acting like it was crazy, but being surprised. Like that would have been perfect if he stopped talking and was like, "Holy shit, he just dropped the combo."
Yeah,
because that's what we did. That's what we all
yeah.
We're all watching the set. We're all doing a watch party, and we could all be talking about whatever. Like, oh damn, bro, like why are they jumping so much? Oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like this is what we're doing as viewers. It's the same thing. Like we're all like, oh shit, when we see the combo get dropped. So it's like, I think it's completely fine to disrupt the flow of the bit for the sake of urgency, because that's what's important in my opinion.
It's also like, to add on to that, it's also like what, like, and this just goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's a caster's job to translate the game to the casual scene. And I think like if I was a player that, you know, wasn't really knowing 100% what's going on, if I'm a gold or a silver, I'm someone that doesn't watch like, you know, Brawlhalla that much, and like in that moment I would not really know like what's going on. Like I don't understand the craziness of that moment because of the fact that caster is talking about something completely unrelated, and I don't really know what to think because like it didn't really make sense. Like it didn't, like he's not conveying it properly. And even though like that is true, like the flow of the commentary and the chemistry between the casters is important, but you kind of gotta, there's things you kind of gotta rank above. Like, are you translating the game? Are you conveying the hype? That matters more, in my opinion, than showing the flow of the conversation. Like, I think that's important to a degree, but definitely less than what we were talking about.
Yeah, I did. I think like the average viewer couldn't give a damn about the conversation, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I would really say, like, I would say the bit is at the very bottom of like the tier list of like what's important with commentary. Like the funny bit, you got to stop the bit if some shit happens. Like it's not worth that much to even spend that like too much time, because not only that, but if you go back to the clip after the bit, they paused for like 5 seconds and then went back to the bit. You know what I'm saying? Like there was like a lot of dead space even after the bit anyway. So it's like obviously like the flow or whatever, but I feel like that's just a rule that like sometimes needs to be broken. Like that's the importance of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not trying to say that there's like set in rule that you have to do these things a certain way. I'm just saying that from a caster perspective, I think that there's a lot of it's like kind of just built into who we are as casters. This is just like skills that you develop, is like holding the conversation and keeping the ebb and flow going. And I totally understand where you're coming from, where you're like, oh, you would prefer for it to break, but I think that as casters, sometimes like it's just things that are kicked inside of us. I'm not trying to make a comment on that situation much more than that, because I wasn't a part of it. I can't speak on what the other casters are thinking in the moment, but that's just from my perspective. Like, obviously they dropped the moment and they should have highlighted that, but they didn't. And from my perspective, I understand why, because I find myself, I would find myself probably in a similar boat where I would drop something like that because of that. But that's that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, but do you understand what we're saying though? Like, do you understand like our vision?
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean, like I totally,
why,
yeah,
what and why, like we want you guys to do these things like this. Like,
yeah, I mean, I totally understand like all of this. Like, I'm somebody that comes, like, I played football most of my life. I am a caster that doesn't like, that wants to go higher and higher up in casting, and I study a lot about like commentary, and I watch a lot, and I do a lot of like self-reflection on myself, and I totally understand where you guys are coming from. I'm not trying to like say that you guys are completely wrong. I'm just like here to listen and like give the perspective from me. It's hard for me to give like a full perspective because a lot of these clips I'm not a part of, and I can't like tell you what is going on in anyone's mind at any time. But I'm just happy to hear you guys out. I'm taking notes. But yeah, for sure.
I think you did say you said something like I get that you would prefer for it to be that way, but I don't even think it's a me thing. I think that pretty much any person would agree that like it's much better to cancel the bit for the sake of the moment, because that's just how it is. Like, I feel like it's extremely unrealistic and like unimmersive for the commentary not be very present at what's happening. And yeah, what's up, maybe you got any points?
So I heard you saying like they should cancel the bit, like that clip you posted. I feel like the bigger problem is that like there shouldn't be any bit in that moment. Like, I feel like there needs to be like an understanding of what the moment is. This clip is from winner's final of the tournament.
Last stock
red. Java's on the verge, I'm pretty sure, of like winning his first gold medal in this clip. Like, this is actually
ain't shit
like,
funny.
If you really think about it, like he put so much time in his life into this fucking moment. And the caster's talking about the eye of the tornado during the clip. Like,
yeah,
and his last stock red. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
the bit should not be happening in that moment
it's
anyway.
It's unbelievable to me. Like, I feel like I saw you guys talking earlier about like other games, and I feel like yeah, there's just like a lot of other moments where like I see in other games where it's just I feel like it just should be way more hype. I feel like I see it sometimes on LAN with this game. Like, there's a couple of good examples of like on LAN, like the casting getting like that. But I feel like there's no reason the casting of, for if we're using this specific clip, like there's no reason it should be like just dull.
I feel like the bit is like just forced
like,
personality. Like, it's just forced. Like, we get you're quirky, bro. We get it, you're quirky, and you just want to like go on a long tangent about some random shit because you're quirky. But bro, like, this is last stock red winners finals, bro. Like, it's not like ain't shit funny right now, bro. Like, save that shit for like pools or something, or like very early in the game.
I feel like the people don't, maybe the casters don't understand, or they're just not doing a proper way of conveying it. But I like what Mikey was saying, where like this guy's put thousands of hours in his life to get to this moment. Like, people have really put in so much time. Like, it is like crazy. Like, I noticed people that aren't like, involved, like they might think like, oh, it's just Brawlhalla, these guys.
I'm gonna get flamboyant here.
But like, we as pros and and just like the people that are playing the tournaments have put thousands of hours in their life, like given up a lot of other things, like in order to like be good at this. And I think it's important for the casters to really convey like how serious this is. Like, bro, when I'm in grands of a tournament, like that is not like, this is funny. Like that is serious, bro. I'm playing for $1,000 not only, but this is also like a product of the work that I put in for so long that it's like, man, I don't really want to like, I'm so nervous in the moment. And I look back at the casting and it's like, oh, this guy's talking about Twister. It's like, well, that's not right. I
think it's important to like match the energy of like the players also. Like, obviously online you can't tell, but like if there's a set where it's like just really sweaty, bro, I feel like the commentary should be sweaty. I feel like there should only be bits when it's like both players are at LAN like laughing because they're just like trolling and it's like early in the bracket, But if it's like on some top 8 winner side, like top 3, everyone's trying. I feel like there's there's not really a reason for a bit unless it's like very, very, very specific. Like I feel like, and it's kind of like a Sparky thing. Like Sparky just has that style where he spams the bits a lot more than most of the other casters. Like I don't really see that problem with like really any of the other commentators. It's mainly just like Sparky that like spams the bits. But I feel like the bits, bro, like they're like extremely unnecessary when they happen. And I feel like the problem is that like the duration. Like the bit will last so long that y'all skip like 30 seconds of straight like hands, especially in twos. Like so many interactions and punish for punishes will happen and crucial moments, but like you'll talk over the entire thing because like the bit we got to keep the bit going. But it's like the bit will be something that the viewers don't even care about either way. I remember one time I I got top 8 for the first time in a major, and I was the first person in 2 years to get a top 8. And I remember for like at least 1.5 minutes, Sparky was talking about like me being a stingray and washing up on the ocean in like a sand bucket, like some random shit like that. He was going on and on about it for at least a minute 30. And I was literally like fighting for my fucking life, bro. Like I won that game, but it was like I was trying so damn hard. I went back to like the VOD because I was a kid. I was like, holy shit, I made it onto the stream. I won my like I got top 3 in a major. I go back to watch the VOD. I'm hearing about like sand buckets and shit for like a minute 30, and I'm just like so sad, bro. I'm just so sad like watching it, bro.
I think that's
Yeah.
like not sorry. I think it's also like what are you saying? Like that is like low key like demeaning as a player, bro. Like when you maybe not. It's like that
It's
makes
like
me feel bad,
demoralizing.
bro. Yeah, it's demoralizing. I look at that and I'm like, bro, like I don't even like it makes it seem like the time that I put like doesn't really matter because like oh this guy doesn't care, so like who cares? Not only that, but also like similar experience. I remember I was watching a stream or I was like maybe at the LAN and like and Paul is playing and some crazy thing is happening and one of the casters is talking about how Impala is a blobfish and then he goes on about like the physiological like components of a blobfish for like a minute and I'm sitting there like yeah, but can we talk about the game though? Like that's all I was thinking, and it's just like things like that. Like I don't know. I don't think that's good.
I just think the timing is the like underlying issue. Like it's both like you gotta like understand the moment. Like obviously this clip, like it's just winners final. The tournament's just on the line. Everyone's red. Like that's obviously an extreme example, this clip, but like there's other times where I feel like the moment is just not like it feels like the casters are not on the same like like timeline as the players in terms of the moment. Like
Can we yeah.
Yeah.
Can we let the other casters like what's it called? Like if you guys want to talk, you can.
Yeah, Flambo's here. If you want to talk, then
Yeah.
you got
Also,
mute.
I see Dara and so much here. If you guys want to talk,
I mean, I'm just listen. I'm at combo breaker, bro. I'm over my.
Oh
best
shit.
life.
Okay. I fuck with that, bro. I fuck with that.
I was just like, hold on, let me see what the new discourse is, because there's always discourse, and sometimes it's founded, sometimes it's not. It's hard to, as a commentator for Brawl, I have to be like very picky about like what I actually care about people saying, because like sometimes it's founded, other times it's like, all right, so you got this clip that's from like a tournament. Maybe the clip's not a good clip. I don't know. But then it's like, all right, what about the other 95% of the tournament? Are we going to talk about that at all? Or are we just going to say, oh man, this one part was really bad, but then not give any acknowledgement to the fact that the rest of the night I was doing a good job, but you're upset about this one specific time? Because then it's like, I don't really, all right, like no one's going to hit 100% of the time. So I just kind of like ignore shit like that, unless it's like particularly egregious. You know what I mean? But like this Sparky quit, it's winners finals, it's last talk red. He's talking about whatever. I don't know. Is it good? Probably not. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like honestly, like when I do commentary, there's like an aspect of like, because believe it or not, like this might sound like kind of offensive in a way, and like I you'll see what I mean when I say it. But like when I commentate, I try to keep in mind the players that are like actively competing, so that if like they come back and look at it, they don't hate me, but like hate is like I don't care if they don't dislike, if they dislike me, that's fine, but like if they hate me, I'm like damn, that means I went too far. But like the thing is like for a while in like Brawlhalla stuff, this is some like lore stuff, right? And this is why like people would be like, man, I miss when Brawlhalla commentary was good. And like usually what they mean by that is like, damn, bro, I really miss Foda. And I love Foda to death. That's my goat. Foda's style of commentary was to get really hyped and really excited for every play that happened in Brawlhalla, because he was like, these are the best players in the world at Brawlhalla, and so he wanted to like try to make it seem that way, right?
Right.
I don't agree with that philosophy, but this is like a philosophy thing. I'm like, I'm not even good at this game. Like, sure, I'm like hard stuck 2200, whatever. But I'm like, I'm enough of a sweat that I'm like, I'm not gonna watch someone do this dumbass play and then try to glaze them for it. That makes no fucking sense. That shit was just bad, so I'm gonna call it bad. You know what I mean? But like in the same vein,
right.
if I call a play bad, when something good happens, I'm gonna say, damn, that shit was really good, because I believe the like duality of like pointing out when really good players still make mistakes that like someone who's like in plat could be making, and then also highlighting this is a play that like a fucking Brawlhalla motherfucker can do that like a plat player would never be able to do. It makes people feel more human instead of being like these gods that are like uncapable. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
So,
like this clip, yeah, hit me.
yeah, to be honest, when I heard you say that you don't agree with the philosophy of Foda, like making the players seem like they're the best in the world, I'm not gonna lie, like that kind of hurt my heart a little bit, because it's like I understand what you're saying of like, you know, obviously you want to convey the truth of the moment. Like if you think a player has made a mistake, then you know say like they made a mistake. But like I don't think it's wrong of Foda to like get hype for certain moments, especially when they are hype. Like I think like what a lot of, at least me personally, and what a lot of my friends and what a lot of the community would like to hear is that the casters, you know, like the reason why people love Foda so much is because people like to hear the passion for the game. People like to hear, like people want to know that like you care, like you know what I'm saying. Like, people want to know that like you're having fun watching this tournament. You're conveying, you're seeing that these are the best players in the world. Like you know, you're conveying, like translating the moment properly. And like I get what you're saying. Like you know, you also don't want to make the players hate you. I think with that specifically, I don't think it. If you say that, as long as you're not like this guy's terrible, he's just completely worthless. Like,
Nah, Flay would be doing
Yeah.
that shit, bro. He be doing that shit, bro. He be cooking, bro. I swear he be
Bro,
cooking people, bro.
it's like I don't care. Like I don't think that's bad. Like I think the only time a player is really gonna hate you and it will be justified is if you're talking about something outside of the game. But other than that, like I don't think people. It's not that deep. Like I don't think you have to worry too much about like you know if someone makes a mistake, call them out. Or you think someone.
Yeah, as long as you're talking about the game and it's on topic, then I feel like it's fine. Especially if you
Yeah.
highlight like the intensity of the moment. Like if someone really fucked up and you point out that they fucked up, that's fine. I honestly don't like when people don't point it out. Like when people drop a true combo and the other commentators are like, "Oh, I think that might have been a misinput or something. I'm not really sure what that was." Like
I'm
you know
like,
what
no,
happened.
nigga, you just dropped the D like
On
there,
God,
bro.
nigga,
Like,
drop the
what
combo, bro. On God, he dropped the combo, bro. Just say it. But I feel like they just don't watch the game, or they just don't care. They want to make it like, they want to like play it cool for some reason, and like not highlight the fact that he just dropped the fucking true
there's
combo.
a thing, yeah.
I would say like the majority of the community wants you to convey how hyped the moment is. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the key things. That's why people love Foda. That's why people love, let's say, old school casting. Is because what we were talking about earlier, like these players that put thousands of hours in this game, like this shit is not a joke, bro. Like you know, it's to most people like it's not really just a fun tournament. Like you know, it's a little thing on the side. Like maybe that is what it is to you. Like you know, you're the caster, you know, it's just a little thing you can be doing. But like you kind of got to convey and like translate the match for the players like to the rest of the audience, and I think that's what the community wants to see. And I think that's what the community just wants to see, that like you care and that you have passion, that you understand how crazy this is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like talking about that too.
Different,
Oh, sorry, my fault.
Well, all I mean is that like, cause like obviously like I've been doing commentary for 11 years, right? I'm doing it for Brawlhalla, Smash Bros, Melee, fighting games, everything you could think of, and I've seen all kinds of criticisms. I see which commentators make it. I see which commentators don't make it. I see what the pitfalls are and like what the good things that people do are, right? And like since I come from Melee, my perspective of like my approach to commentary comes from like a little different of like if you compare the way I commentate to like let's say the way that like I think Walt's a good example, because I think Walt's style is way more esports, to like kind of give it an adjective. But like the way that I try to commentate is I try to make the players seem as good as they are, and I always try to make a moment. If I rash on someone, there will 9 times out of 10 be a moment where I say, hey, I know I'm going pretty hard on this person right now. I need to reiterate that they are extremely good at the game, but that was a bad play, right? I'll make space for those statements, but I also want to make sure that like what I'm trying to relate to people is not necessarily like, because pros look at the game and see the game in a way that the average Brawlhalla viewer does not. And so like I'm not gonna tailor my commentary for the pros because the pros can see it and they understand it. I don't need like I want to
Yeah.
make sure that they feel good if they come back on a clip and they're like, yeah, that made me see like I'm the GOAT. Like yeah, I want to make sure they have those moments. But it's more so like if I'm sitting down and I'm watching the Knicks lose last night, right? I'm trying to capture that feeling of being at my bro's house watching a basketball game. We are not NBA players, but we all got opinions about like, oh man, you didn't get that pass. Why didn't you get that pass? Why did he go for the 3 there? Right? That's the average Brawlhalla viewer. And so like that's the vibe I'm trying to convey when I commentate because that's going to reach the biggest amount of people in a way that feels relatable. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I don't think that's a problem as long as you have energy while you're explaining it. It's not like it's just like, oh, he just dropped the combo, bro. That guy's trash. Like, if it was like something where you can tell like there was energy behind it and like it really caught you off guard, then I think that's completely fine. I think the main problem just comes in when like the viewers just start getting confused on what's happening. Like, for example, when Vicky dropped the recovery, I think a regular Brawl viewer would be like, that was bad, right? Like, I think that was bad. Like, he didn't hit the combo. But, like, because no one is talking about it, it's like, oh, well, I guess not. But I think, like, your way of commentating is fine as long as there's energy behind it because it at least shows the urgency behind it. On top of that, I think you've gotten, like, a lot better at, like, not, like, completely cooking people. So I don't even think I have a problem with their commentary at all. I never, like, I've never seen people mention you specifically when it comes to the problems with the commentary. It's always like Sparky or like sometimes Duke will fuck up. Sometimes like Photo fucks up, but yeah.
It's not like I don't really. I think it's fine if you point out players' mistakes or you say that you think it was a bad play from the player. Like that's fine. But like the point, like the vision that I'm trying to show to you is less of like, oh, I don't want you to talk about other players, or I want you to share it from the pro player's perspective. It's more of like I want you to convey the hype of the moment. Like when I say that these players put 1,000 hours in this game, so this matters a lot. It's not just like that's not just from the pro player's perspective, but I think that's the like truth of like the tournament. Rather, is that like this is to show who's the best in this game, and all these players put 1,000 hours, and this is worth thousands of dollars. Like I feel like I would love to see the casters convey way more like the truth of the fact that like yo, this matters a lot. Like this isn't just like a little something, bro. Like this matters, and also like putting your passion, showing that you care the tournament. It's not just like a little something. Like if we're like you talk about the NBA, like if we're watching the NBA finals, and like the casters like seem kind of disinterested. Like if the caster's like, oh, Curry hits the 3, it's like. Yeah, but like if the caster really shows like the passion and really like is able to convey to the viewer, not just like in saying it, but also in your intonation and things like that, convey to the viewer like, yo, this matters. Like these people I've trained 1,000 hours, like this is really like something you want to give the experience to the viewer. Like this is something that I want to watch. Like this is interesting. Like I would prefer way more if I'm watching a basketball game and like someone does something crazy and like LeBron just dunks at 40 and I'm like. And the catcher's like, oh my goodness, and James coming down. It's like I would love to see that way more than if a guy's like, ooh, and James with the 2-pointer. It's like, bro, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You want it to scale adequately.
Oh, we got Stingray.
Can I jump in on this one for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I have a few thoughts. I feel like this is something I've noticed from like different esports compared to Brawlhalla, which is with Brawlhalla, we're typically starting the streams for like top 32. It's difficult to convey that kind of energy, nor is it always warranted and realistic. I think, in my opinion, I think top 32 requires a different style of commentary from top 8 onwards. But this discourse started from the clip that Stingray posted, right?
Yeah.
It's the clip that you posted, right?
Yeah.
I think there's also a very specific baseline commentary, like energy and style, that I think Foda is set, and we're kind of like abstracting that to some people. I think if that's like the kind of commentary that you want, I think right now Walt is like doing that. You know, Walt is like doing that, and Walt is providing that, and he definitely gets like really loud and excited. And I also feel like if a moment really warrants that, I think I agree with some of the criticisms of like the clip that like Stingray ended up posting, but I'm curious, like Flowery, like what are like some other times that you feel like people are not like their excitement is like not matching what should be happening on the screen at the moment.
Right. So specifically, like we were talking before with that Marky Moon clip, and then me and Woody were talking about this before, where like Sparky was talking about like the anatomy of a blobfish in the middle of like a crazy set. Like, it's kind of difficult to find the clips. And also recently, because to be honest, like being completely honest with you, I like don't watch the streams with the commentary on, like, because of the fact that like I don't want to like, or at least not as much anymore, because like one, like bro, I don't want to like have my like mood ruined almost by like, cause I think when I'm watching, like, damn, I think it's really cool, but if I listen to Caster talk, like not match the same energy, like I feel myself like, oh, like maybe this doesn't matter, like our game just sucks. Like, that's what I feel. So I could try to find some examples, but those like verbally, that's why I said like I think that's not good. I do think though that recently with some of the tournaments, like when I watched my sets back on YouTube, like specifically with you and PJ, like I'll watch sets and you guys like are conveying the hype pretty well, but it's also like just where we're talking about it, like sharing the vision of being able to like really translate the game to the casual viewer, like if that makes sense. Like another thing with you, like a criticism that I would have for you specifically, not to like get like you need to do this better, but like well, I remember I was watching one of my sets and like I hear you saying, and you're just like saying the names of the moves, like you're saying sidelight, D-light's there, and then it's like, but you could be talking about like the nuances of the gameplay way more and be able
Yeah,
to
like how it got hit, because
Yeah.
the way that people find hits, like obviously I think a big ass problem with the commentary is that the game is dead ass just fucking boring. I'm sorry, but the like what are you gonna talk about when I'm spam dashing and sharking a nigga on Teros? What are you gonna really say? But like I think like in most sets, I think what should be talked about a lot more is the movement and the positioning. That's something that I never see anyone talk about. Like no one talks about when I'm empty hopping and I'm looking for a certain angle to pressure out a side air so I can make them jump above me so I can get the empty hop D-light. No one talks about that. But when I hit the D-light, it's like, oh, D-light got hit. But I feel like the movement and the positioning is what makes the game have the nuance to it, and it's not really like the combos, because Brawl doesn't really have combos like that, but it can be hard to tell because, you know, the game moves so fast that sometimes it just looks like they're just moving around for the sake of moving. But the movement is where like the high level shit comes in and the nuance comes into play that people skip over. And another like big reason why this conversation is even happening, a lot of it kind of happened for me like through max mode. Like watching max mode was just the most like depressing shit I've ever seen. And obviously because it's Priya, but it was like watching max mode and just seeing like one, like obviously the meta is terrible right now. Like I guess they nerfed Priya, so it's not as bad. But like it was just Teros and Priya and just mashing on chakrams. But I remember like watching that and just seeing like how much fun the commentators were having during the entire tournament, and it was just like there was like a clip. It was like of everyone dancing on the screen after like a Priya mirror match had just finished happening, and everyone was just like dancing and shit, and it was just like it was just so bad, bro. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like I feel like when that happened, it didn't feel like the first time. I feel like that's happened before, like where something is happening that was just crazy or that was just kind of like a certain mood, but then it's just like, oh yeah, whatever, bro. Here's slow motion gaming dancing, and it's just like, okay. I feel like obviously it's good to put on the commentators and, you know, build their platform, but I feel like sometimes it's kind of forced. Like I feel like we should give the pro players some extra screen time. I feel like the time that we spend trolling and making all these like doing all like this like clip farming with the commentators, I feel like you could be spend that time doing like post game interviews, maybe get Remy back on the analysis, you know, like.
Well, hold on. We want to do post like that is like typically what I think we're doing, but then for like one reason or another, it just didn't end up happening at max mode. But generally, that's like something that like you know I guess we try to do. I feel like that's not something we actively don't do. Like especially like at mid seasons.
Well, y'all haven't had it since Remy. Remy was the last person to do it. Like the actual like post game analysis, that was Remy, but he hasn't done that shit in like I think a year and a half.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that there's much of an audience for that. So like, there's a couple
Really?
criticisms. Yes. So this is what I'll say. Like, I think that I totally get where you're coming from. Where it's like the advanced movement and like the understanding of like neutral game is very big and like what Brawlhalla's high level is. But I do think that there's a fundamental disconnect between what you as a pro player that can see these things wants to hear versus like what an average viewer wants to hear. So from the perspective of someone like Sora, who's the moderator that is only basically listening to the stream and reading chat because they're a mod, you know, for them, they're talking about how it's not always engaging to hear very intense analytical commentary for the average
Then
viewer.
why are you watching the tournament?
Because many people watch for many different reasons. I mean, if you watch like the Super Bowl, for example, which is like one of the biggest sporting events of all year, when they hand the ball off to the running back, the caster literally says, and they hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, and he gets 3 yards, and that's the beginning of the sentence, and that's the end of the sentence. Because not every moment is warranted to constantly be hype about everything all the time. It will lose people if you constantly brigade people with information.
I don't think that the average casual will be angry at seeing some analysis of something that
No,
happened.
I'm not saying there should be no analysis, but I'm saying that like we can't just like fully do analysis because that's not what's engaging for a lot of people.
So
And it's
I have a thought.
Yeah.
I have a thought. I'm sorry, I want to cut you off, PJ, but I have a thought, and this is like my own like thoughts on it. So maybe just take it with like a grain of salt. But I feel like there's a very big logistical difference when we try to compare esports, specifically even like a fighting game to you know, another like construct of sports and analysis. By the way, I do agree. I like analysis segments. However, the timing of it is so limited and so specific because there are so many sets that actually need to go ahead and get put on. And they aren't particularly as big breaks as you would have in a more traditional, like I like analysis segments. You know, I would like to see the return of some sort of an analysis segment as well at some point. So I share that sentiment. You know, but I think if we try to look at the function of analysis segments in traditional sports broadcast structures, it functions as a fill. It functions as a fill in between, you know, the games and the rounds, and to actually just actively take up airtime. But what am I just trying to say? There's very little time for it. I feel like there's very little time for it with all the sets that you have to show. And I mean, I like it. I like seeing it.
I mean, I was thinking more like the same way you said it's a fill. I was saying like the screen time that y'all fill in by having slow motion gaming dancing, that could have went towards something more important. Like, I'm saying y'all should use it as a fill. And I'm not saying that every set should have analysis, but like for at least like a top 3 final sets, you know, like it wouldn't hurt because there's a break in between everything. Like I think y'all have the time like in the top 8 to fill in some
I think it's
analysis.
I think
Yeah, because Remy did it, and when Remy did it, everyone loved it. Like especially at the Royale specifically, I think the Royale is a perfect environment for that kind of stuff. And Remy went to the Royale, he did his analysis, and everyone loved it. And then, you know, we never really saw much of it ever again. But like, I don't think every set needs it, but it's like, I feel like, yeah, there's like not much time for everything, but the time that y'all do use can kind of be like inefficient, especially when it comes to just like a lot of trolling, especially in a very like intense environment. I feel like it wouldn't hurt to have it every now and then.
No,
So
I remember when TWK also did the analysis of it. He like you said, as a fill, like that's how it is kind of in sports too. Like when you watch basketball, like during halftime, you'll see like you watch like inside the NBA, like that's when they do like the analysis during halftime. Like in between sets is a good time for it.
I mean,
it's like one little thing, like, oh, he read this specific dodge down here, and that's what he said.
I
like
think
a little thing like that could be like, I find it like, I think people find that
it doesn't even have to be like a full-on analysis segment. I feel like at least what I want to see a little bit more is, and it doesn't even have to be like crazy, the nuances of neutral. Like, I would just like to see, like, even in the replays, like, oh, he did this is pretty smart, or oh, he pressured the jump out here and then he was able to get the D-less error. Like, stuff like that, and like what we were talking about earlier where I was like, you're kind of just saying the names of the moves. Like, I would like to see, and I was saying this to PJ earlier, because PJ talked about, you know, like what a kind of shits a D-less error at 110. Like, there's not really much for me to say, but it's also like, talk about, even, it doesn't have to be big, but it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to talk about like, as if it's chess, but it's more like, oh, he pressured this on him, or, you know, he was scared of this option that happened earlier, so because of that, he was able to get this. Just even little things like that, I would appreciate to see, because it kind of, like, even, and I get that what you were saying earlier, like, the casual viewer doesn't necessarily, like, want to, I think it's at least notable to, you know, sometimes, like, be able to convey what the players are looking for, and, like, how the game is working. And also on top of that, like slightly off topic, but I would also like to see more like more conveying of like the players' like perspectives. Like I obviously I'm not a caster, but I've casted a couple community tournaments, and like I cast this one community tournament, and I was talking about how like it was Munir playing, and Munir and some other players, say Taya. So like Munir is like doing super good. I'm like, wow, he's playing really confidently. Like this is crazy. He's going for these unorthodox options, and he's playing confidently. I think the other team needs to match this with their own confidence. And it's like even something like that where it's so little, but even saying that, giving some type of like personality, like giving some type of personality to the characters on the screen and the players.
Yo, Flambo, can you mute? your mic is picking up the whole like.
Oh,
menu.
my bad.
I'm at Combo
Convention.
Breaker. Yeah, we got a Combo Breaker
Yeah.
panel for Brawlhalla commentary.
Yeah, what can I say, bro? Yeah, I got you. But also, I hear that, and I gotta ask, like, come on, you say you don't watch the streams with commentary on? I'm just like,
sometimes
I hear
like,
that, and
with,
I'm
with
like,
the high
bro,
level
what?
sets.
A lot of us stop, bro.
Yeah, sorry. With the high level sets, like I be wanting to lock in on the game, so like I be muting the commentary because the commentators most of like at least when I would watch before the commentary, like they would not be focused on the game. And
Yeah,
it's like,
sometimes they just get in the way instead of enhancing that gameplay itself. So sometimes, like,
yeah.
if it's really good commentary, we leave it on. But like the minute it just starts getting to a point where it's like, okay, they don't seem interested, we just mute it because it's like they start to get in the way of the game and start like kind of just like distracting the audience of what's actually happening. So I have to just mute that shit, and
Yeah.
it's like
Okay, so
it's obviously hard.
I want to give like my
Okay.
perspective on that because like you guys talk a lot about like casters deflecting criticism, but I think that there's an equal onus on you guys as listeners to like say like you're listening to a commentary and it's really great and you're listening to it for 30 minutes and then I make a tangent or I make a joke real quick because something like is in my mind and I say it and then you go, all right, I'm just gonna mute this, and you mute it, and then for the next 2 hours straight I'm doing the greatest commentary that's ever been gifted on the microphone, and like ESPN is, you know what I'm saying? Like let's say that happens by being like, oh, I just muted as soon as one bad thing happens. Like, dude, I know like we're getting a lot of
That's not what I'm
comparisons,
saying,
but like
I don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. Though,
that's how it comes off when everybody's like always everybody all the time on Twitter is like, oh, I just mute it.
Nah, I give it the
You know what I'm
chances.
saying? Yeah.
I come back after like 15 minutes or so. I come back every new set.
Yeah,
Like
okay,
I give it
yeah.
chances. It's not like OD.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, nah, never hearing that shit again. Like
yeah,
No,
I know people
it's
make
not
that
that bad.
mistake, and I immediately turned that shit off. It's more like, cause like if you specifically like, I know we keep bringing up this example and it may seem daunting to you guys because it's one thing, but like I've had this experience a lot, but this is like the tangible example that we have in this moment. Like with that casting of twos, like when I'm listening to that and I'm focused on the bit, like when I watched that set for the first time, or when I like watched that moment for the first time, I didn't even notice that Fakey dropped daily recovery. Like we're so removed from the moment of the game that it like distracts me. Like I can't see what's happening. I don't really feel
no, literally, bro. Like the
Now,
bid
hold
is
on.
so fucking
I have a
present.
thought. I have a thought for you at the moment, which is, regardless if it was like a bit or not, it just like happens sometimes. I feel like he might have just actually not noticed, even if he wasn't actively like talking about that. And then also similarly, it would be like the responsibility of the other commentator to like cut him off, as
Yeah.
well. Like that just like happens. So, what am I trying to say? Yeah, I don't think it's great that happened necessarily in winners finals. I'm in like full agreement. But like, if you like message them and we're like, hey, I didn't like this thing. You know what they'd say? Yeah, my bad. Won't do it again. I think they would be in
that's
agreement.
great to hear, to be honest.
See, I agree, but it's actually like, okay, like it's deeper than just this specific example. Like I promise, if you guys
This
pull
shit
up
happens
this
so
set-
often.
if you guys pull up this
Okay.
exact set, for example, this set, Balloon Boy Hideaway versus Java Fakey, I feel like the whole set, the commentators are not grasping the moment of the set.
No, it
That
actually
if
was.
winners-
Right after that
it's-
tornado clip, he said some more bullshit right after, bro. I swear he
he
did.
started
I
talking
swear
about
he
the
did.
construction of Demon Island. But anyway, like
Yeah, he was saying he
this
hit Demon
whole
Island.
set, I just feel like the vibe is off because it's winners finals and
Okay.
this guy's first like gold medals on the line, the whole thousands of dollars on the line, whatever. Like, I just feel like the vibe sometimes in a big set is just a little bit like the casters are on a different wavelength than the players playing. Like, it's not the fun type of time, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. But like, yeah, this example is like extreme, and I think this set is extreme. It's not always this bad. I'm aware of that. Like, it's not always like that. Like, but
Yeah, so
I think it
I
could be
mean, I
improved
feel like if you're upset about that, I think you can let them know. Like the DMs,
Like, look.
the DMs are open generally. I don't know. I didn't actually watch back the whole set. I was like, we were like in the studio watching it with the other commentators and stuff, so I didn't get to really hear the ins and out of it. So I wouldn't be able to confirm or deny what you said. But if you feel like that was the case, what they would appreciate most is you like DMing them and like letting them know what you thought about it. I think most casters are generally pretty receptive to that.
Right. I pulled up the Spring Championship Singles North America, and I went to a random point in the VOD, and I already see something that I disagree with. Maybe I can try to clip it and send it in the chat, but like, hold up.
I mean, sure, that's fine. But all I was trying to say, like, with that point was, ultimately, yeah, you could let them know if you. That is like probably like the best way to see like active, tangible change, and like having a discussion with the specific people in
Right.
mind.
Hold
Right,
on.
so
So I just
best way to
put it.
facilitate that.
No, I like that, and I'll definitely be doing that if what you're saying is true. I'll be doing that. But if you look in the replies to the space, I literally went to a random point in this VOD, and like, I don't know who this is, so like maybe I'm calling out someone in this space, but like, bro, the caster here, like, Marky Moo gets hit by a side zig, and that shit almost kills him. And like, Gucci was about to make it to game 5, and the caster is talking about how, like, if that had more force, then it would be broken. But it's like, I don't give a like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's the right thing to say there. Like, it's not the vibe. Like, this set is like more important than that. Of like, like, kind of, it's like too lax of a vibe. That makes sense. Like, if you watch the clip, like, he talks about how like it would make it broken if it was forced. Like, bro. Like, I think we should talk about like the moment of the game. Like, what I would have talked about there instead is like, yo, this almost killed him. Like, now he's in the edge guard. Like, he could be taken to a game 5 here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like the way you're looking at Flower is like
From the edge
you're
guard, the side
taking
six
in the
almost
fact
enough.
that
Luckily,
this
not
is
too much
for the
strength
seg
on that
that you
one,
picked is
'cause that would
it's
just make it way
losers
too
bracket and it's
overpowered,
top 4
Here
and
we
so
are. I
he's
mean,
obviously
Marky another
last off
chance.
red. I
Gucci
feel
was
like
trying to set up. He wants to go.
that's what I was trying to say
Okay.
earlier. Like grasping the moment of what it is like the
Yeah, like the
important part.
context is
Like,
so
Almost
important.
enough.
Like
Luckily,
he's
not
trying
too
to
much
fight for
strength
game
on that one,
5, and it's
'cause
just
that would
like,
just make it way
damn,
too
that'd be
overpowered.
broken as hell, bro. I fucking
mean-
hate Demon Island.
I
Like,
mean,
okay.
So the clip that you send, Flower, it's literally Flambeau going on a 3-second tangent. Like, I don't know,
bro, but
like,
it's not. But you're missing the point. It's like, you're not conveying the moment properly, and by like not conveying the moment properly, you also kind of throw off like the whole vibe of the set. Like, if I'm watching that, it's not necessary that like
Luckily,
what
not
he's
too
saying is bad. It's not like
much
an
strength on
egregious
that one.
moment, but what I'm talking about here is like, I don't like seeing that because of the fact that it's like, okay, like, this is way like more important. Like, you shouldn't be talking about that now. Like, you should be conveying the moment to the viewer of like,
Yeah, like,
yo,
that
the
shit
lose
left me
top four.
completely unimmersed.
But
Anyone
Yeah,
that
no,
wasn't
that's what I'm
watching
saying.
is now
Chance.
unimmersed
Gucci was
because
trying to
like
set
you
up.
just
He
took them
wants to
out
go
of it.
for, like,
Like
a-
they were in it, and then you're just like, that's just
single
broken
hit,
as fuck. You
single-
take them out of it, and it's like, okay, well, damn, bro. Like, yeah, it's short, but like that kind of stuff matters, bro. Like I feel like what I'm saying is not like on some like, oh, only I think this. As someone who's been a fan of esports for so long, I feel like I speak for like all people when I say this, but it's just like immersion is so important. But like even a bit as small as that is enough to just to completely throw you off for like the next like 5 seconds, especially if it's like something really important. It's just like those kinds of small bits, they're not really needed, but it's just about the immersion. And I get it can be boring and it can be like hard. You want to have like your own style and personality with it, but I feel like people emphasize the personality over the moment so fucking much to a point where they're willing to actually ruin the moment and leave it unimmersive for the sake of me being the guy who's like a dickhead. Oh, I'm the guy that judges people, and I'm the guy that makes the jokes about this. And I'm the guy who like goes on these long tangents. But it's like, bro, we get it. But, like,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if that's like the active thought process of any. I'm
I don't think it's
not telling you
active,
it's not
but
coming
I
off
think
that way.
subconsciously.
But I'm like, yeah. I just don't know somebody who's like, thinking.
It's like an
that way.
identity thing. It's like when you're the guy who does this specific style of commentary.
I will
you'll
say
be into it.
that's not like we've had a lot of conversations about commentary with all the casters, and I am willing to say right now that all of the official casters that I talked about, whenever we talk about our style of commentary, it's never like, oh yeah, I'm the guy that makes the funny bits. Like if you ask me what type of caster I am, I say I'm a play-by-play caster. If you ask slow motion always says the same thing. He's tweeted it 100 times. He said, I'm somebody that has a lot of passion. I'm just really excited and happy to be commentating Brawlhalla. If you ask Foda would be like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's like you're taking these moments that are like clipped, like 15 to 20 to 30, maybe a minute long clips that have moments where us as casters are being human and trying to talk like humans and not like talking like robots, because at the end of the day as casters we're having a conversation with our co-caster. That's the number one thing that we need to learn as a skill, is having the conversation between the two casters. Otherwise there's fragmented things. I think that you're like taking that one clip and being like, this is his personality because this is the one thing that I can point out as a bad thing, and I'm going to say that this is what they're doing that because they want to do that. That's not what our job is.
I mean,
that's not what we want to do.
That clip specifically is of Flambeau, who did just admit that is kind of his style. Like his style is to like be very, very like, I guess, realistic to like what's good, what's not good, and kind of be like more blunt. Like, he admitted he has a more blunt like casting personality, and obviously you can show the personality, but it has to be in like a tasteful way that doesn't leave you unimmersed. You know what I'm saying? And it has like the timing has to be like very, very like spot on. But I feel like sometimes it's just like dragging it. Like you're just dragging it sometimes.
I mean, like talking about this Flambeau cap, he says like so. What he's saying here is he's like, man, if that Sig killed, that would have been OP, right? That's like a normal thing that like people talk about. Like, bro, if Aaron Rodgers made that Hail Mary, it would have been groundbreaking. Like the hypotheticals is what we live for as like conversation havers and enjoyers of media. Like it's a classic thing of like, oh man, if that 0 to KO worked, that would have been crazy. Cannons busted. But like he didn't even go on for that long. Immediately after the clip is over, he goes, because if that KO, that would have been OP. And
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I have one point that I want to make though, because you're saying it with a lot of energy. He said it nonchalantly. That's you gotta
exactly
pick one. You gotta pick one.
I feel like you're
either
missing
be really
the
enthused or just don't.
Do you agree that this clip is too low energy for the moment that this is, BJ?
I think that you cannot always be high energy, even if it's grand finals, like game 2 grand finals. You cannot always be excited because that is not how commentary works. Like in the Super Bowl,
he's last stock red and it's for game 5. It's last stock red and it's for game 5. I feel like he should.
You guys put PJ on the spot.
I don't know. I
know.
Like,
bro, oh my god.
Put him on the spot, but
you put him on the spot and put a Flambeau, man. That's crazy.
Do I think that it's not high energy enough? No. I think he's doing play-by-play commentary, and what happened was he decided to elaborate on a moment where nothing is happening. Like he hits the side sig, and Guichibu doesn't go off stage. He doesn't weapon starve. He doesn't throw the weapon. He doesn't dash. He's literally standing still after hitting a side sig and holding center stage, and then he starts going into play-by-play again. I don't understand how this clip is so egregious. I mean, like it's not.
Well, it's not egregious. It's just like it's an example of like the common small instance of unimmersion that will happen like literally at least like 10 plus times a set. Because that small little 3-second bit, imagine that shit, but every like 15 seconds, it's just a small little like thing in there that's kind of like.
I mean, like I can't speak on that because I don't have any evidence of that. But like for example, this clip, and this is something that I think that in general, when we're talking about discourse around Brawlhalla commentators, it feels very cherry picky. Like this moment specifically, Flambeau is literally just doing normal play-by-play at a normal volume. He's not freaking out because there's no reson to freak out. He hit a side sig and then literally dropped his controller. Kuichibu could have been scratching his head.
Listen. I have a thought really quick. Wait, what's up, Flavio?
So like, there's a couple of things. One, I feel like when you say like he just hit a side sig, so there's nothing to talk about. It's like, I think you should be enhancing gameplay and talking in the moment. Like what I was saying earlier, what I was talking about there is he hit the side sig. He's in the edge guard situation. If he's able to get this edge guard,
he didn't go for an edge guard. He like cycled his weapon. Like
he's
in the position.
You can't be like, oh, Flambeau should have talked about the edge guard. That never happened. He literally swapped weapons in that moment.
No. He's saying that he should say if he goes for this edge guard and he's successfully like talk about what could happen in the future right now. Like don't say like
no, but
you have to like
not everything has to be
why would I talk about
something that didn't happen? It literally exactly. It took Markimu 2 seconds to get back to the stage. Do you realize that Brawlhalla is way faster than you're giving credit for? In Counter-Strike, if somebody picks up an op and is in a clutch, the next round goes for 45 seconds. He hits a side sig, he throws the weapon up. That's it. There's no attempt to go for an edge guard. He can't go for an edge guard because Markimu's already on the wall. In your explanation of of you saying what he should have talked about, the clip is over. The 15-second clip is over. He hits a side sig, he throws the weapon up. It's a weapon starve attempt, or he's cycling back. What Flambo could have said, what I would have said in this moment, I see it's like, Guichibu hits a side sig, it doesn't KO. Is he going for an edge guard? No. Picks up a weapon. That's it. That's all you have time to say because
That's
Marky.
good. I think
That's fine. That's really
but
fine.
I don't.
bro.
But I could
Over.
But I could easily say the same thing where it's like, oh, the side sig almost KO'd. If that KO'd, that could have been a crazy steal. It's the same thing.
Well,
Like
No. That's different. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. That is not what he said. Look,
he said. He said if it can KO it. Like I don't
would've
think
been
you
broken.
understand
No,
how
listen,
long things take. I don't.
No, listen. PJ, bro, listen.
You have to understand this. Take
Order in the court. Order in the court.
This is like
No, listen,
crazy
bro.
cherry
Listen,
picking. I
Listen,
think.
bro. No.
Listen. He said that would have been broken if that killed. Do you understand how that's taking the
Here, I think
viewer
Mark
out of the moment?
The side
of like,
almost enough.
now we're
Luckily,
not talking
too
about
much strength
like
on that
how
because that would just make it
Guichibu
way
was in
too
the edge guard
overpowered,
situation.
but
This could be
here
trouble
we are.
for
I mean,
Marky
Marky,
Moo.
another
Like
chance.
you're not talking about the game anymore. Now you've removed that shit from. We're talking about the moment. We're talking about the moment in the brackets, and now we're talking about this would have been broken. Even if it's only a couple of seconds, Witty's right. It takes you out of the immersion, and like. You don't have to constantly be talking about what's specifically happening in the moment. Like you can say like, okay, now he's in a bad position now. Like if Guichibu was able to extend off of this good position that he's in, he would be able to get to game 5. Like it. And when I say this, like I'm thinking about like other stuff, like
Guichibu trying to set up.
like
He
in
wants
the
to
UFC,
go for
like when Joe Rogan is talking
single
about
hit into a signature setup,
grappling, like Joe Rogan is just saying exactly.
Oops. Yeah.
Okay, if he puts his leg over his right arm, then he's in trouble. Like. When you're
It's
able
like
to
it's the hypothetical of like what could happen.
I mean,
Yeah, you said the
it's like
hypotheticals are
Flambo
important,
does
right?
it.
And that's what we're talking about.
Flambo does do the hypothetical because after.
But in that specific instance,
You guys should
reworded
DM.
what
You
he
guys
said.
should DM Flambo and say what like Joe Rogan.
Because you reworded what he said because he said he nonchalantly was like that would have been broken if that killed. But you're saying that could have been a crazy steal with all this energy. That's a whole different sentence with a whole different demeanor, bro. That's a whole different thing. It's not even the same thing.
I gave commentary from the perspective of Guichibu. He gave commentary from the perspective of Marky Moo. He said, "Good thing that signature doesn't have a lot of strength to it because that would have been overpowered." Like I don't understand how saying that sentence, like literally, like you're not understanding like Flower when you keep giving this example of how you're saying like, oh, what this analysis is of like, if Guichibu went for the edge guard there, the clip is already over. Marky Moo already won the game. In that time that you're talking, the game is over. Like the game is done. Marky Moo lands and hits the signature with the Mordex Scythe. Like the clip is so incredibly fast. Like you keep saying like, we should talk about the hypothetical, and you're giving an example of what you would do, and it's impossible to do it in that moment because the game is over by the time it takes for you to.
It wasn't that fast to say
was.
like he's in the edge guard situation here. It's not that
I'll
fast.
look at it right now, and I'm gonna see. Hold up.
Yeah, it's a 15-second clip.
It doesn't take that long to say he's in the edge guard situation here. Like.
Well,
Okay,
but the thing is that there was
said
no
it-
edge guard situation.
no.
Situation here, he was
When
able to
did-
get an extension off this. He could bring it to game 5. No, that's wrong.
But he didn't even go to like the thing is that there is no edge guard situation because Guichibu threw his weapon away. Like he's cycling weapons. on
He's
stage.
in the edge guard situation.
What? No, he is though. He's off stage with guitar. Oh my
He's got
god.
really
bro.
good
Dude,
position. He's able to
like
get-
I will literally screen share. He hits a side
Yo.
kick and jumps back to center stage. He doesn't even go off stage. He just jumps back to center stage.
No, I
Hold
think
on,
we're
bro.
getting our terminology mixed up. Listen,
An edge guard
Guichibu
situation
was
is when a
on the
player
stage.
actively goes for an edge guard. He doesn't.
No.
He literally jumps back to center stage. Guichibu didn't go for an edge guard situation. There was no edge guard situation. He jumped back to center stage. I'm watching the clip on my stream.
I think you're saying edge guard as in like a Smash terminology of edge guard. Like
You talking about a
when we
ledge
say
trap?
edge guard,
ledge
no, because
guard, maybe that's
when we say edge guard, we really just mean when someone's like off stage and you're on the stage, like
So every
pretty
time
much like
somebody
looking at your
gets hit off
direction.
stage, there's an opportunity for Guichibu. Like if Guichibu goes off stage against Marky Moo here, I think it's bad. I think you're like that's just like how I think about platform fighting.
Well,
Okay,
Like,
okay.
looking
For
at
example,
the
look,
clip, like,
I just replied to the tweet. If you look at my tweet, I sent a screenshot of like the frame. Would you not call this an edge guard?
Which one? Which one are you sending me?
I just tweeted it 1 second ago. It's
Oh.
like right under the.
I'm gonna say I would say that's Marky Moo that's off stage, but Guichibu's not going off stage for an edge guard.
Dude,
He's not.
So what would you call
prepared
that?
for
A
an edge
ledge guard? Okay.
No,
I
no,
think we're getting kind of like the terms of like.
Like, what would you call this
Sure.
then?
Guichibu's holding center stage. That's objectively what he's doing.
He's waiting for Marky Moo to get back on. He's I would
I don't
more
think
likely
he's
say
waiting for
like
Marky
ledge
to get
trapping.
back on. I think
He's gonna try to punish his option getting back on, but that's not an
Yeah,
edge guard.
right.
Edge guard implies like he's committing and going out there. This has nothing to do with the clip. This is now purely semantic.
Yeah, I think this is okay. Whatever.
I think y'all
But
are
actually, no. I would like to
y'all
know
are
what
confusing
the
like ledge
analogy
trapping
would be.
with like edge guarding. Like edge guarding, I go off the stage. I try to stop them from touching the wall. If I'm waiting on the stage for them to come back and I'm trying to keep them in the corner, that's
Wait,
corner guarding.
y'all
or
don't
that's
consider that
trapping.
edge guard? Like when I play spear and I endlight someone off the stage, I'm sitting there like waiting for them to come back to endlight them again.
that's
That's
a
a
ledge
ledge
trap.
trap.
You are
That's
not-
a
you
wall
are
trap.
not edge
You're
guarding.
not edge guarding. What
Ledge
Hungrybox
trap?
says with Jigglypuff.
Well,
where he got-
we don't have ledges in Brawl though.
Then
Like, so we don't say like,
I say it all the time. You're corner trapping, or you're wall trapping, or you're holding them. You're holding center stage and waiting for them to do something. That's just like what it's called in platform fighters. Like,
All right,
But-
so
that's why I was
whatever-
confused.
Whatever
Yeah, sure.
what it's called, bro. I think we're kind of missing the point.
whatever it's called,
You're
that's something to
supposed
talk about. Whatever it's
the-
called, that's something to talk about.
Yeah, you're supposed to talk about the advantage that Takuichiba was in and what he could possibly do with it to bring it to a game
yeah,
5. Like,
Flambeau did. He did. He
No,
does.
he
He
didn't.
said.
Does
He
he?
said.
Does he
he
really
does.
like, I don't want to be mean and be like, no, he didn't. But like, bro, he's like,
into a
he's
signature
like,
setup,
he's
but-
like that side to kids, and
He wants to
that
go
would
for,
be
like,
really
a-
OP if it KO'd.
And
That's
it,
not,
it,
like,
it- word
come
for
on.
word, he says, and Guichibu is going for a single hit into a KO setup with a signature. He's literally saying he's waiting for Markimu, and he's looking for a hit to lead into a signature as a KO setup. He literally says that.
That's good. But the thing is before that, when he says the side take, damn, if
Here
that
we
had
are.
more
I mean,
force,
Marky,
that
another
would've
chance.
been that would have been broken. It's like you're not
All right.
conveying, you're not translating the moment properly. You know what I'm saying?
So I think personally, I haven't seen this clip. I don't want to play it on my phone. I'll listen to it later. It's fine. But my thought process is, okay, I talked about what's happening. Also, I am a fan of the game, right? And so, like, similarly, max mode, double chakrams, OP as shit, right? I'm not here to fucking lie to the niggas that are watching this stream, right? I'm like, this shit's busted. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and pretend every play that's happening is godlike. We all know this shit is broken. So I'm like, just say that it's broken.
We know. Yeah, we know. That's good.
You know, we know this shit is broken. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. So I'm going to be like, all right, well, this shit is kind of ridiculous, dog. Like, I'm not
Wait,
going to
did you commentate for you?
Yeah, I commentated so much for you.
Oh,
So much
I,
Priya, bro.
I hate Priya.
bro. Like,
It's fine.
I think that's good, and that's fine. But like specifically in that moment is like, no one. I don't really think that's like something to talk about. Like, to be honest, and especially because it's not broken. Like it, you're saying if it had more force, it would be broken. Like, I think that like might be fine to say after the game, but you're taking up the time where you could be conveying and translating the moment to the viewer to say that this could be broken. Like, maybe
I think
you're
what could have
watching
been said was like if that was a little bit stronger, that would have confirmed the stock or something like that.
yeah, that would have been a better way of looking at it. That's what I think. That
Like-
and
like-
also
like-
you
like when
wanna-
DJ
The flower
DJ
was trying to
paraphrased
say is like what flower's trying to say is what he keeps talking about with the moment is like the main thing. Like bringing that up kind of nonchalantly in that spot specifically is I think what is he trying to say is the
This
problem.
guy's clinging on
Because-
for dear
because
life
the-
and are nonchalantly
Yeah.
calling it broken. He's clinging on for
about to-
dear
he's
fucking
about
life
to
for game
upset-
5.
He's
That
literally
one,
about to
'cause
upset
that would just
Marky
make it
Moo.
way
Like
too
you can't just
overpowered, but
nonchalantly be like,
here
yo,
we are. I mean,
low-key,
Marky,
that would've
another
killed.
chance.
Like,
Breach
that's
Boot
not
trying
the
to set up.
time for that. It's last dog red. Like you have to convey the moment is what he's trying to say, and I feel like I agree with that.
Because I
I
feel
think-
like I hear what you're saying, and I'm like, I don't even find myself like disagreeing with it, but I feel like this is like not like that big of a deal. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
this was
you know
not
what I mean?
egregious.
Like,
This is a small
Yeah,
one.
it's
This
not-
is a
yeah,
small
it's not
one.
I agree.
egregious. It's just like
but I'm like,
that
at the end of the
happens
day, I'm
consistently.
talking about the game. I never stop talking about the game.
Yeah,
You're
this one
upset
isn't
because I'm not
terrible.
talking about that specific game, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I am talking about that specific game, just not in a way that y'all like.
I think
But I'm having a reaction to something that's happening in the game that I'm actively watching. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
I know what
still
you're saying.
it's still relevant.
Yeah, I think the reason why it was brought up was because this one isn't egregious, but it's like one of like the more common, small, like minor ones. But these kinds of ones, like the one we just looked over, that happens like I would say like a lot during each set, like during each game. There's multiple, like after every interaction, it's kind of like that to be honest. But it gets to a point where it just like stacks up so much on top of each other to a point where the whole thing just feels unserious. It's like how many minor mistakes can you make until the whole shit is just cooked?
yeah, one thing.
So you're
wait,
saying generally across the board, you feel like there is like a emotional like disconnect from what you guys are watching. You feel like
Yeah.
it's not like matching.
Yeah.
sort of-
I'll
sort
say
of
this:
thing?
whenever I watch tournament sets, literally every game is at least like 3-4 fuck ups per game, like even more, like per game. That's the problem. It's not that like I'm gonna like
I don't know
cherry
how
pick,
you're
like,
defining
one
a
time.
fuck up. Though.
Yeah. I don't know either
You know
because
that
like
that's like pretty broad.
I-
But
I-
also like
yeah, I
there's
know,
a warm
it's
up
tough.
period for commentary too. So it's like there's no way like if I'm starting my commentary set, like obviously like I try my best every time, right? But like there's just like a natural, like, okay, you're watching a set. Maybe usually about it takes like at least 2 games, if not like a set, before I even feel like I'm hot.
Yeah, and I feel you. When I say fuck up, it really depends on like the person. Like, for example, like Sparky, a fuck up would be like when he goes on a tangent that's like not related to the tournament or to like the gameplay for like a bit too long, and he does it like he'll have times where he goes like a whole game and he does it 3 times in a row like throughout the entire game, like one time per stock where he just goes on like a random unrelated tangent. Like people have different types of levels. Like that clip we saw of Flambo, like that wasn't terrible. It was just like a bit unenthusiastic for how important that situation is. Like he's about to upset the seed 1 PR1 player, and it's like
It's about
obviously
the
it's
vibe,
small, but like
right?
it adds up because that kind of stuff will happen a lot throughout one game, and it's like that. I guess like the term fuck up is a bit too harsh, but it's just like minor, like the amount of minor mistakes that add up on top of each other, like over and over and over and over. Like the amount of times where a commentator will be wrong about something, like someone hits like a satellite Sarah on orb, they're like, oh, he hits the D-Light Air. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's weird.
The
And
amount
then
of
like
people
next stock, it's the same shit.
like NSYNC, like, bro.
I mean, to be fair, like it's hard for us to correct something when we're talking about it in a conversation. Like if two people have the understanding that the sky is red and their whole life they've been taught the sky is red, why would all of a sudden one of them
But
be like the sky is? You know what I'm saying? So like
just
that
don't
nitpick
be
is
wrong.
difficult.
Just don't be wrong.
But that thing is that everyone is wrong all the time. We are not perfect. Like I don't know if you're trolling, but like
It's satellite Sarah, bro. Come on, bro.
So,
It's like-
so I have a question, right, which is I guess I don't really know what the I mean, ideally there is no margin of error on this, right? You'd want the commentators to call out everything correctly all the time. I'm curious what it looks like in other games for like top level commentary for it to be like incorrect. Like with Smash, quite frankly, if we're talking 3 to 4 fuck ups per game, that happens, right? That's like a thing that happens, and I think if it happens like so consistently for something where it's like a knowledge issue. I think that is like one of those things that can like again be fixed. I think anybody, generally speaking, even I try to think about like some of my favorite commentators. They do fuck up, especially like high level competition, really exciting part of the set. Now, I am curious though, when you're bringing up Sparky and you're bringing up the fact that he goes on tangents, the clip that you posted, I'm in agreement with you. I feel like generally when I've casted with Sparky, he does those in between matches more than anything, and like people still like complain about it. So I feel like if you feel like
I
it's
don't
happening
complain
a
about
lot
those.
throughout a specific game or set, I feel like
Well,
everything I'm listening to, I'm just like, you could DM one of the people.
I'll be honest. Like I dead ass think I could probably pull up like hundreds of clips of him doing that during a match, like since 2020. Like I said
Well,
before,
I
when I
mean-
got my first top 8, he went on a whole tangent about like a Stingray flopping into like the land and getting picked up by a bucket. Like
I mean,
he's been like,
that's like something that happens in
obviously-
like bigger esports.
Did you let him
too.
know?
And also that, yeah, let him know too.
I think
Did you?
okay.
I think
Yeah.
I probably have over like the years. I think I definitely have. I've mentioned that shit a lot. Actually.
Sparky's in my chat. He's like actively asking, please do it. Like, please, like, send examples to him because he is happy to listen to it. Like he,
Yeah, I'll do it.
We
and
can
also,
find so
also,
much,
to be
bro.
fair,
If
to
you
be
guys
fair,
don't take
these
this
two,
like that, I will. Like,
the
I
two,
will.
the
Like,
two, the two
I'll-
moments you keep bringing up, so for example, like the anatomy of a blobfish, that is during Caster's full cam. It's him and Polymonto. Sparky's wearing shorts and a beach shirt, and Polymonto is looking really shocked, and he's sitting on the right side. I know this clip almost word for word because one of my favorite clips of all time in anything. That is not happening during a game. When he's talking about how Stingray or Impala or somebody is a fish out of water, like that, he's explaining that metaphor. It's not happening in game. I can send you the clip right now, just to give like Sparky some credit. I don't want to speak on it, but he's in. The blobfish chip is 1,000,000 trillion % not happening in game. He's giving that analysis while they're
I
both
swear,
on the
like,
full screen.
I think Loki, like I think you might have said that like off the game and Loki in the game or like reference it in the game. But regardless, like I feel like we're kind of like missing the bigger picture. Like I feel like the vision that I'm trying to convey to you guys is one where like the casters aren't like breaking the vibe, like if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's up to you guys to convey the vibe of this set. Like even if something is not like obviously it's not a big fuck up for Flambo to like say that something's broken in the middle of the game or something like that, or for Sparky to like even go on for like a little bit of a tangent or something like that. But the whole point is that it breaks the intensity and the vibe of the set. Like it doesn't like it doesn't encapsulate the viewer, like it doesn't enhance the gameplay. It brings people out of the gameplay, which is bad. And even if it's only for a second, that's still bad. And that's one of the reasons why like I don't like to watch a commentary, because it distracts me. And like all of a sudden I'm not in the moment. I'm not.
I think the problem is how often it happens. Like it's cool every once in a while, but I feel like it literally like I think that like I could even go like 10 minutes without watching like a VOD, and like just some shit like that happens. It happens like every 5 minutes, every 7 minutes. Like it happens so often that it's kind of hard to ignore, because we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it was like some every once in a while he goes on a tangent. Like this is a every tournament, every set thing.
Do you think that there's any examples of?
I went to a Reddit spot, and that was where the clip was at. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like give an excuse for that, because if you think that that's like a big deal, that's like your thing. But like I just want to give you the perspective of somebody that literally studies commentary. Like it's my job, right? This happens in every single game. League of Legends, Rocket League, Call of Duty. I can give an example. I remember like vividly moments of World Finals of League of Legends where casters are cracking jokes with each other and saying funny things, because this is just how it is. And never once did I think, man, because that caster made the joke when people are in the laning phase, I'm gonna freak out and it's completely ruined the immersion of Faker literally doing one of the greatest comebacks of history. Like the run that Faker had at that Worlds was one of the greatest things in esports history, and the caster making like a joke during a game, it doesn't to
but
me.
Like how long did the joke last? Like how long?
For like these, I mean, League of Legends is different because the bits will last for 45 seconds because there's nothing to talk about in League. Like at Worlds, people will make jokes for 45 seconds straight.
It's different. It's you can't like remember what you were saying earlier where Brawlhalla is hard to cast because it's so fast paced, and Brawlhalla it's different than every other game. I agree with you 100%, and I think that's why you can apply that argument here of like you're watching other esports and it's just this way because it's this way in other esports. But that doesn't apply to Brawl because
do you think that football's fast? Like football, the Super Bowl is literally a play happening in 45 seconds.
In between the plays. There's breaks in between the plays. Bro, with Brawl, we were talking about how it's so fast-paced. That's why I'm saying you can't apply the same, like, caster. Like, oh, it's okay for caster to make jokes. Like, when you do that in Brawl, you're missing things, and that's the problem. Like,
so do you think that there's never an opportunity for casters to make a joke ever during a match?
Like, no, there are some times.
I don't know if you said that, PJ. I'm not sure.
I'm just trying to clarify it. Yeah. Like
when here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not making myself clear enough. Here's what I'm saying. I think that what you're saying, where this is just this way because casting is this way where people make jokes, you can't apply that 100% to Brawl because we were talking about before. Brawl is so fast paced that you can't apply the same commentating style as you would from another game or another sport completely because of the fact that like it's so fast paced and you have to commentate it differently. That's why I think maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's a problem in your guys' way of thought of like, oh, in casting in general, people are able to make bits and make jokes in other esports, so it should be okay for this one. But you have to realize that it's different because of how fast paced it is.
The bits have to be short and very on topic.
So like,
have to be very short and very on topic.
So to give an example, like you literally just pointed out Flambeau, who's going on a tangent about something that's literally in the game that happened and is a hypothetical in the game, and it took less than 3 seconds to give, and you're saying that it's a major mess up and it completely ruined your immersion. So like, do you?
No, relax.
Not about what he said.
That's what you said. That's literally what you said.
Those are strong
but
words.
also it's not about what he said. It's about what Flower was saying. It's about how like nonchalantly he said it in comparison to the moment that it is. Like
if he said it with energy, it wouldn't
specifically to the moment that it's in comparison to that moment, the way he said it was didn't encapsulate like the energy of the moment.
Yeah. Not
it's
only
all
that,
of it added
also
up together.
You're not talking about the game or the players. You're saying, damn, that would have been broken if that killed. Like, I don't think that's something that you should talk about because that doesn't pertain to the moment. Like, it would have been better. Like, what Woody is saying, like, if they had a little bit more force, that would have knocked out. Like, that would have been better than say, damn, that would have been broken.
Yeah, that's
like,
relevant.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
also, it's just bias, bro. Like talking about like Loki side stick being broken and shit. Like, that's just also just bias.
I mean, like, I'll give this example too. It's like Brawlhalla is a game that is very like. It gets really, really slow. Like, you cannot tell me that there are moments where Brawlhalla is literally at a standstill, where people are literally not interacting. Like, okay, I have an exact example. Use versus Typh Grand Finals of Springs. If you watch Use versus Typh Grand Finals, game number 3, Typh literally doesn't hit a button, and neither does Use for 9 seconds. And I literally say on commentary, Use will not hit a button until Typh hits a button, and no button is hit. Literally not a singular attack is happening. It's not advanced movement. They're not doing anything crazy. They're literally like mashing their shift key, or Use is hitting his trigger button or a face button if you're on controller. He's hitting the X key over and over again. Like this is a moment in Brawlhalla where literally we have nothing to really add to it. Like I don't understand where you're coming from. It's like you can't have it all, right? Because you're picking my argument apart, saying that, oh well, Brawlhalla is really fast, so you never have time to talk. Like if we just allow us to talk about what's going on the screen, I promise you there are many sets that have been saved by the casters like talking and making it fun when the objective truth is the gameplay is not fun to watch. Like I refuse to believe that you have to think that we can never have any personality, and you also saying that our
We never
personality
said
is only
never.
at a
We never
detriment.
said never.
But like
We
when,
never
but like
said never.
when,
You're
but like when,
overexaggerating it.
because
But,
you're giving all these examples.
So
When
hold on,
there's-
I feel like
when
I
there's
can
time for
speak
it,
to
bro. When there's
PJ's.
time for
I
it.
think. Hold on, I'm gonna make a guess and think about where
Yeah.
PJ's coming from on this. Oh wait, Flambo, you want to say something?
I mean, I was just gonna say, I think first and foremost, part of the reason that like there's dissonance between the conversation happening between the pro players and the commentators is because I think there's just like a use of superlatives that makes people go, wait, whoa, that's not what I fucking said, right? And so it's like use words like never or like the most or like, you know, it's like shit like that that makes people go like, well, that's not what I'm saying, because then they feel misrepresented, and then it's like you end up
Because
wasting time talking about like feeling whether or not like you're being accurately represented. But what
Yeah,
I
it's
will
not like
say,
an extreme thing.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
just
that's what I'm
like-
saying. But like you have to understand that like when I'm saying when
No,
PJ
no.
is saying like, so you're saying that casters should never
Yeah,
show any personality.
you're like, I have to refute that because they're like, that's not what I'm saying, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
know
there's
what you
time
mean.
for it, but it's like in these instances, like I feel like the time should be, yeah, like when there's actually nothing happening. But
Yeah,
like
when-
in the clips that we've all pointed, there is definitely shit happening. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
So
But it happens a lot.
I've got a thought. I've got a thought, and here's my thought, which is if the general criticism is that there is a disconnect in what you feel like should be a hyper exciting moment, and the casters are a little bit too often being a little bit disconnected from it, you know, I'm going, okay, heard. You know, I'll try to keep that in mind. I feel like I don't feel like that's an unfair thing to do, but I feel like I see what I understand like how PJ is feeling a little bit at the moment, because it feels like there's a lot of moments where I feel like we do deliver on that. Or we try to deliver on that, and I guess it's like an annoying like bit of frustration where we're like, damn, like nobody tells us
I think
when we
PJ
do
does a
deliver
good
on it,
job.
but
I've never
only
been mad at his commentary.
wait a second.
I think PJ does a good job. Like I've never been mad at his
Oh
commentary.
yeah,
so,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. But whenever the point is more like whenever like somebody does like deliver on it, and I feel like this is not like exclusive to commentary. This is with a lot of different things where it's like a lot of you know, I'd compare it to like a service job, right? Where if somebody like does well,
Yeah. When
they
you're doing
don't
a
like
good
get
job,
noted
nobody
on
says
it.
shit. When you're doing
Yeah,
a bad
yeah.
job or even like slightly
Yeah.
less than desirable, everybody got shit to say.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
it's like,
of
all
course.
But I
right,
think
bro,
that's
when
just
I'm
like
fucking
we
popping
gotta
off,
deal
nobody's
with
saying
that
shit.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
You
that-
know,
that-
I don't think that's
that's-
like
that's-
something
yeah.
that's gonna change.
Yeah,
Stingray
exactly.
is so goddamn clutch clip. That's the one clip where niggas are like, God damn, Flambo is nice. The rest of it,
that
niggas
was
ain't
nice.
say
Damn
shit.
right.
I've been commentating
Credit,
Brawl
bro,
for
that was
years,
nice.
bro. So I don't want to hear this shit when people's like, oh man, the commentators are dropping the ball. All right, well when I'm nice, I don't got shit to say. So like I don't, and part of it is like, well I'm just doing my job, right? So it's like, all right, like I can't expect the praise because it's like I'm doing my job. I'm supposed to be doing a good job. It makes sense that people are
And
more
also,
vocal
like,
when it's not happening. But also
not
it's like,
even-
all right, bro, well when I'm killing it, like, you know, like what's the word? But
Yeah,
at the end of the
yeah.
day, like
I
I feel
understand what
like
you're
the
saying.
Brawl people are like really like the Brawl community. I think is generally pretty appreciative. At least I feel like. I know like in recent times, I feel like Twitter discourse has been like much more surrounding commentary, and part of me feels like our adjacency to Smash discourse makes that more the case because Smash bitches about commentary more than any other
Yeah.
community I have ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like it's bled into the
I
Brawl
don't
scene
think
a
it's
little
bled
bit.
into Brawl at all because I don't see how that would happen.
Yeah, no one in Brawl actually watches Smash.
Yeah. What?
Nah, that is
but
not
also-
true at all.
Chungus
Get him.
Deluxe.
But
I think that the Brawl scene, like the Twitter scene, is like really bitchy. Like I don't. You were saying there's like a lot of discourse on Twitter. I honestly don't be seeing it that often. Like I don't really.
yeah,
I don't really.
I see it
I
too
don't even
often,
have
yeah.
the app on my phone.
I
I don't
see
have
it too
Twitter on my
often.
phone, so I don't really be seeing like when other Brawl players complain. And whenever I do see them, it's usually for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like this is just from my perspective is from talking to other pros like Mehdi. Like we've been talking about this kind of shit for like years. Like because we've all been pros for years now, and it's like this whole like, oh damn, they didn't mention like when this guy dropped the true combo or when I hit this or when I hit that. Like this has kind of been like an ongoing thing that we've all noticed like pretty much every major for the past like 4 years, where it's like there's always something that was just kind of off, and obviously it can't be perfect, but it's just like
Yeah.
it's hard
I
to
think-
not notice.
I think
I
that
mean, part of it is perspective too, right? Because you have to keep in mind that overall, you guys, like all the pros, right, are the 0.1% of the people that watch this, right? You want to make sure like commentary and what you're catering to is telling the story that everybody can understand. And if you can't go into hyper specific detail, it's a fast game. It's hard. There's no time,
yeah,
right?
I don't think.
I know I know other people have said that already, but the most important thing, one of the biggest lessons I've learned doing casting is that your target audience isn't the pro players. It's the people that are just casual-ish fans and are just enough into the esport to like it on a just below surface level.
Right.
So like your gold and plat players, right? Now, here's the thing I've noticed about the Brawlhalla scene that is casting adjacent, right? You're talking about how in depth things need to be and how much talking is required for small nuances. That's the perfect opportunity for a pro player like you guys to watch party and talk about that stuff.
I do watch
Because
party.
that's
Here's
awesome. I'm so glad that you do. We need more of that because this kind of conversation and like the small nuances that would take half of a normal game to talk about. There's just simply isn't time, and it's not for the audience that is what Brawlhalla and
Yeah.
esports people need.
Sorry to cut you off, but we low-key already talked about this, and I agree with you that obviously the casting is towards the casual scene. I tweeted it like a couple hours ago. Good commentators are supposed to be the translator of high-level Brawlhalla to the casual scene, and we talked about this, and we said we don't need like the super like high-level neutral nuances, but even just a little bit more in depth than just saying the moves. Like I feel like even the casual player base would agree with that because when I watch Brawl, when I watch Brawl, I don't really watch it like from the pro player perspective, seeing what the player's doing. I more watch it for the vibe and like the entertainment of the set. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
So like what we were talking about earlier, like this is repeating myself, but just to address your point, like we were talking about, even if casters go into a little bit more detail, like, oh, he pressured him here to get this. Even like that is better than just saying the moves, and I would appreciate that way more. I'm sure the casual player base would appreciate that way more because they're able to understand what the player's doing without going into super nuances of like.
I want to give like a comparison. So like you're saying that like you for example don't like when I read the moves off one by one, right? So like that example is like obviously as somebody that's been playing this game for thousands of hours, it's very easy for you to say like it gets annoying. But what I'm commentating to is the person that never watched Brawlhalla before and is for the first time viewer. So when I show people in my life that have never watched video games, my commentary reel, my literal style of a caster is play-by-play. All I'm supposed to do as a play-by-play caster, my designated role when you strip it down, is I'm literally supposed to say what's happening. It happens in football, for example, when somebody is commentating football, they're literally saying Patrick Mahomes drops back 4 yards, he throws the pass to number 17, 17 catches the ball, he's going down the 20, he's going down the 15, the 5, the 1, it's a touchdown. That like huge moment, he's literally just saying what's happening on the screen. But when those moments happen in other things, people are like, wow, that's really cool. The wide audience of people can understand that. But then for the pro player, for the coach, the head coach of the Rams, he's like, I don't need to know that he's running down the 10. I can see the big number on the screen. But I think there's a big disconnect there.
Right, but I agree.
Flambo,
I think that
it's loud.
Yeah, sorry. And I agree with you. I think that's fine. I think play-by-play is fine. But what I'm saying specifically with like just naming off the moves, like that's fine. But like, and we were talking about you're seeing someone who's never played.
It's the energy, bro. You were just yelling the shit. You were just yelling it.
Hold on. Like saying the moves, like style ideally, so you're talking about with someone who's never played Brawlhalla. Like I don't know, that wouldn't really instill much like anything into me. Like if you were to say like, oh, he walks forward to me, pressures like, and then he's able to get this thing, then like I would feel way more connected with that as a viewer, even taking away myself of like, pro player, like even just seeing like being able to be put in the pro player shoes just for a second of like, oh, he pressured him to do this. Like am I tripping like Megdy or Witty or anyone else? Like I feel like I would feel way more of like understanding what's happening instead of just silent ID. Like I don't really know what that means.
It's just hard because it requires more like brain power of like really observing the game. And I feel like the game can kind of be hard to look at, especially with how fast people move.
Dude, 2v2 is fucking impossible in casting.
But I feel like
it's so tough.
Obviously, because I'm a pro, I'm able to like be used to the idea of looking at the game so much to the point where I can just be like, oh.
And also to give some credit to the casters, you are not constantly talking while having to observe things. So if like I told you to read a paragraph of something while you're watching a video, it's very hard to also like it. Like you're only taking one skill. The one skill that you're talking about is watching something that's happening and not saying anything and then adding something to it. But the thing is that while I'm also play-by-play casting, I'm watching, okay, so Tax Evasion gets an edge guard on the left side of the stage and he hits a down air. His other teammate is on the ground with an axe. He just sidelighted the other guy so that the player that's on red doesn't try to intercept the recovery, but what happens is he dodges it. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much going on as a caster where I'm talking, like, my brain power cannot be 100% on the hindsight of the situation.
Yeah, you can't talk about all of it, especially
it's impossible, yeah.
So Flo, you bring up like this example, and like generally speaking, I do want to say that like I agree with you. That's like the kind of commentator I want to be. I want to talk about like what is going on, like what people are looking for. I want to be able to like analyze things in the moment. I don't exactly know about the moment that you're talking about. Like that was the moment that you brought up with me. I feel like generally throughout a set, I try to, talk about what people are looking for, what they're pressuring for. If I haven't been delivering on that, my bad. I feel like we could have a more extensive conversation on that. But you basically what is trying. So there's 2 points here, right? The first one was about like the emotional connection. The second point is about talking about what players are looking for on a little bit of a deeper level. And your complaint at the moment is that you don't feel like a lot of the casters are doing that. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, more like the casters are not translating exactly what's happening, because like when you say sidelight, when you say, oh, it's the double sidelight, like, that's like okay, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like, yeah, like it hit the double sidelight, and like if I was a viewer who never watched Brawlhalla before, it's like I don't really know what that means 100%. But if I'm a viewer who never watched Brawlhalla anymore, who has never watched Brawlhalla, and I see the cast,
Are we talking about double sidelight on like bow? What was the weapon? What are you talking about?
You're giving examples.
Names of moves. What I'm saying is saying the names of the moves, like, is not necessarily like.
So
sometimes
I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
So here's my
like,
thing.
But it's not all the
that,
time, like every single time.
It feels like what Flower is saying, if I'm understanding properly, is that he's saying, I don't mind play-by-play, but I wish that play-by-play felt more contextual to the match.
Yes,
to which
exactly.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I get that. It's you're just. Yeah, I get that. You're just telling the story of the matchup.
It's my thing. Like I feel like if I'm doing commentary, it is extremely rare that I ever say just the name of a move. I will say like, all right, he hits a D-light chair and that forces his opponent off stage.
Yeah.
How is he going to get this edge guard? That is like almost always the formula that I use.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
Costly gives you a thumbs up. That means he agrees.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say is that like play-by-play and like just naming the attacks is fine, only if it's like not all the time. But I feel like sometimes the commentators might get like a bit lazy sometimes, where they just like don't want to fucking talk about the game, and then it gets to a point where it's just like silence, and light, silence again. He hit the D light, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like
that's hard for me to like.
It's hard to state because the game is boring as shit. I'm gonna be honest, the game is boring, but you can immediately tell when shit is getting boring, and it's like it just kind of ruins the vibe, because it's like the gameplay isn't always like terrible.
So I have a question.
You can tell like
I have a
the
request.
immediate disinterest. Yeah.
I have a request, which is, could you, I mean, not like putting on the spot in the moment, but at some point in the future, if you feel like there is like a lull in the vibe of the gameplay itself, if you feel like, oh, the game, like a game might be a little bit boring at the moment, but the commentators are like keeping the energy up in a way that doesn't feel like cheesy. I would like to see what that looks like a little bit more, because I feel like that's no matter at what point of commentary you are, that's always going to be like a challenge when the gameplay is just like bad or boring, or there's something, that didn't go patched or whatever. And it's like actively happening, and the commentators are not being too excited about that, right? You're asking to play up what's going on a little bit as well.
I think I have some examples.
Done well.
I think I have some examples. When I went to CEO, I fought Java, and I 3-0'd him, but like when I was fighting him, it was a very slow match. Like he was just kind of jumping around, and I was staying like glued to the ground, like kind of shimmying, trying to like perfectly catch a landing. And I'm pretty sure I think it was PJ and Junebug, I think, that commentated that set. But they did a really good job at like, instead of saying like nothing is happening, they were like really emphasizing how strong my footsies were, like how good I was at shimmying around to perfectly catch the landings. And they made sure that they like emphasized
now, hold on.
like when there were no attacks happening, they were able to like talk about what I was doing.
That's just the game being played slow. It sounded like they're still like genuinely excited about it. Like maybe like some viewers would be like, oh, this is like objectively boring gameplay.
Like in my opinion, it was the most boring shot I've ever played, in my opinion. Like I was about to nod off, but like no, it was bad. Like it was actually bad. Like he's on Terminus, like sharking me, bro. Like on triple platform, orb there.
I've actually,
they still kept it entertaining. And also, when I fought Use, that set was also like, Use is kind of like a slower player. And I guess, the hype of BCX will always boost it and shit. But like, whenever I see like footsies being played where it's kind of boring, I feel like whenever like the commentators are doing like a really good job, they're emphasizing how hard it is, like how scary it is, pretty much. Like they start like freaking out, like attack almost connects, and they like kind of gasp, showing how like close it was to hitting, and how precise you have to be. Like it's like surgical precision you need to even like find these attacks, and they kind of do a good job at emphasizing it. Whenever they kind of get bored or burnt out, it's just like, oh, he's just dashing around.
My
I guess.
opinion, perfect commentary, like what I've been talking about this whole time. Perfect. And I think if you guys need to take away one thing from this, like perfect commentary, in my opinion, is when you guys are conveying the moment, like properly to the viewer. That's what I think. And when you guys are like, if something is hype, then it's hype, or like probably conveying like this is the lower final of this tournament that's worth $1,000. These players have been working super hard for the past 3 months to get here. Like properly conveying the vibe, with your intonation of your voice, with the things that you're talking about, and properly conveying the moment and translating the high-low brawl to the casual scene, and like making the casual scene understand really what's happening. That is what I think perfect casting is. In my opinion.
What I think is like when shit is actually boring, you have to like become analytical. Obviously, when things are hype, you got to get hype. But when things kind of slow down, you got to start talking with like a more analytical like point of view. Like when things are kind of slower and there's not much happening, you have to switch like the nuances of like what could happen if he does this option, what might happen. Like if he goes for this confirm, he could end up getting this. You have to start talking like kind of in more like hypotheticals and like more mental. Like what is the opponent thinking? You have to like kind of shift from like hype and just talking about like play by play and go into like the more analytical like mindset when shit's not really happening. I feel like a good mixture of that would just be perfect, because what I noticed like when there's not much happening, or even when there is stuff happening but it's like too chaotic for them to realize, they kind of just like will start to miss a lot, and they don't know what to talk about because there could be like too much going on. Like in twos, like PJ was saying, I think Keg was also saying like twos is just fucking impossible. But I think that in twos, it's important to talk about what's important. So like if you're watching one teammate edge guarding someone else, but then the guy on the left side hit some crazy combo, you kind of have to like pause what you're saying, or the other commentators like to chip in and talk about what's happening to emphasize how important. You have to like pick what is the most important thing happening right now.
But what you might think is the most important, like to me, might be different from you.
Oh,
like I feel like that's a hard thing to do, where it's like,
You know,
as a caster, we only have one voice active at a time. We're only going to be talking about the one thing.
No,
so
but
like,
I'm not going to be picky if it's like if there's just two normal things happening. Like if one guy's hitting accent light and the other guy's hitting sword and light, I'm not going to be mad that you picked one over the other. But when it's like one guy's getting absolutely fucked on the corner, shit on, like he got hit 12 times in a row off stage, and the other guy's just kind of playing footsies, obviously there's one to pick. Like when there's a clear, more important one, then that's when it becomes a thing. But if it's just like
you're talking about like tunnel visioning when casting twos. I feel like this is something that like everybody inevitably like does at like some point. I'm in agreement. Like ideally, I would like to be able to do that more. So if you feel like I got all I'm like trying to say like with all of this is, if you feel like it is like becoming significantly distracting over the course of a set, the best thing that you can do, and maybe that's not a great thing to say to however many people are going to hear, but like if you're good at looking at this game and you feel like the commentators did something that you really didn't agree with, that you felt like really brought down the vibe, you could let us know. Just like all of our DMs are open. All of our DMs are universally open. Some of us too much. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Like I'm in agreement. Tunnel visioning and twos, that shit's hard.
Yeah, I fuck with that, and I like that you guys are saying this. I like that that's the the thing, is that you guys will take the criticism from the specific clips, and I fuck with that. I like that. I think one thing that the community has wanted to hear for a long time, specifically, and this is why I'm glad that we did this, is that you guys like care, like, you know what I'm saying, that you guys care about not only your job but also about the game. And like even if that may seem obvious to you guys, because obviously you guys put in the work every day, but like if I'm like just watching a brawl game and like the guy sounds super uninterested, then like I'm kind of forced to make the assumption that he doesn't care. But like,
yeah,
I'm glad to hear
that's
that
a good point. Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that you guys give a fuck. Will actually take the criticism given to you by the viewers, and I will do this. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I see something that I didn't like or see something that you guys can improve on, like, I'll DM it to you. Like, I personally want the experience of watching Brawlhalla for the viewer to be the greatest it can possibly be, and anything I can do to affect that, I will do. Like, and
I'm like, I got my phone on me at the desk. So like you could message me mid-set. I will see the notification.
No, literally people DM me, like a mod will DM me, be like, this is how you pronounce their name, and I will fix it in the middle of commentary because we are all chronically online. Real quick, I want to give a little bit of a tidbit from the perspective of a caster, and Sparky said this in my chat a while back, but the reason that I think a lot of us are like, or at least, okay, let me just talk for myself. A lot of times when people give criticism it's criticism that's like from one small thing that you extrapolate a singular clip where this moment wasn't great, and then you make these tweets and subtweets that are like Brawlhalla or a YouTube video. Brawlhalla commentary is doomed because of these 4 clips that are the exception and not the norm. Where a lot of times our body of work is extremely consistent and very good. At least in my opinion, I think my body of work is extremely consistent and very strong. But I know for a fact that there are moments where I'm saying the wrong thing, or I set the wrong signature, or I did something wrong. And just seeing that, people pinpoint that part and be like, man, Brawlhalla commentary is bad, for us feels really, really terrible, because it feels like, how are we supposed to address this singular one nitbit? We're not asking you to like glaze us. I cannot say that word. I'm not asking you to be really nice to us and coddle us and never give us any criticism. I'm just saying that it's very, like, obviously for our mental and our improvement, it's very difficult for us to feel like you guys care as much as we do about getting better, when the subtweets we're getting are like, dude, Brawlhalla commentary is so bad the casters don't know what they're talking about. When I probably, or any caster on the desk probably made 15 correct calls, but they make one incorrect call, and then it becomes a conversation of Brawlhalla commentary is so bad and no one knows what they're talking about. When in reality, we make mistakes. We are going to make mistakes. Every single commentator in every single game ever, in the biggest moments ever in the history of video games, have made mistakes, and that's okay. But I'm just saying, like, we're happy to take criticism, and I'm sure every single caster, community caster, TikTok streamer, Instagram streamer, if you message us and they're like, hey bro, your energy's bad, or that's not the right move, please just let us know, and we're happy to listen. But it's just, we don't appreciate when it's a subtweet where it's like, oh, it's really bad, and then I'll respond to the tweet, I'm like, I'm trying really hard, and then you'll be like, oh, it's not you, and then I'm like, well, then what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks.
Well, I have a thought. Well, Fly, do you mind if I jump in on this? I just have a thought on this subject, which is like, it's complicated. It's complicated because it feels like a lot of, sometimes I think the criticisms that people have online or that they publicly talk about, some of it does come from a good place. Oftentimes though, it feels like it gets like twisted into a lot of like what it isn't. And it's like a lot of like negative public exposure all at once on like a specific individual, like at that time. And so I don't know if that's actually something that can be like changed. I don't know if that's actually something that can be changed in like the way that Twitter operates and the way that people like socially like talk about things. But it's like, why, I guess, like maybe like, if you're like frustrated that like casters are not like really listening to like the public tweets, it's because, well, they kind of like get on like the defensive, as it is innately. Sometimes like the people like they say reasonable things, and then other times people are kind of like being dicks for no reason.
Yeah,
but yeah, again, just DM. You can literally just let us know. That's all.
I think what we all have to understand at the end of the day is that the reason why we're all here anyway is that we all love Brawl. Like, we all have passion for the game, obviously. So when people see that like a caster, how they feel is the caster doesn't care, that obviously hurts as someone that's passionate for the game, is literally because of the fact that like, like, I love this game, and like, damn, like, it feels like my game like doesn't matter because the fact that the caster is not matching it. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I wanted to ask this question like earlier in this space, and what Flower said just reminded me of it. Like, okay, so Flambo was talking about earlier how like, oh, the Stingray and kinda said how everyone loved it and the way he was like screaming and stuff like that. And then after that, we looked at this one set. Like, we used this example with the Guichibao and Markimu and him hitting the side sig, and Flower was saying he was like too nonchalant for the moment. And I wanted to ask like what's the difference between like is it just because, for example, like that Stingray kind of said, like, does the energy only get like that when it's at LAN, or like what? I feel like what Flower was trying to say earlier was that he wants like the moment to be portrayed similarly to how that Stingray kind of said was, like, a bit more often. Obviously, it can't always be that level, obviously, but I think he's trying to say like,
I think like, I mean, it's just not as good. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like the reason the Stingray set is like that is because, I mean, one, land power up. Like, I get to hear myself and I get to hear the crowd freaking out. I'm also freaking out. But also, like, Stingray didn't get touched for, like, a minute straight, bro. like that
No,
shit
but
is actually crazy.
not just that clip, but I feel like if you watch that whole set, like, your guys' energy level is obviously like insanely high in that set. Like you guys
Yeah,
are.
B6 always has energy though. Like I don't think I've heard a single bad B6 set outside of like the Sparky Blobfish like analogy, but
I
like
think
B6 usually always high because the crowd probably like
yeah.
empowers the
Yeah,
commentators to get like even louder. For
I
that
If you
Yeah,
energy.
I
compare the
honestly
energy
like
of that
Because
set
like in
to
person
these sets
commentary will
here,
always be better.
Yeah,
It
of
would just
course.
always be better.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think like with that specifically, like how you're saying that like this set is like, you know, the things that he's doing is better. To be honest, like I'm not even sure necessarily that I don't really think that's the reason 100%, like, to be honest, like, because some sets at LAN, like, the gameplay is not that good, but because of like the environment is like that hype, then it becomes that good. I think that's more the reason, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, what I was talking about earlier, like Maggie's right, like I would like you guys to convey that type of energy more for the online tournaments, because even if it may not feel like it for you guys, because you guys are just on the chair and it's just like a tournament, online tournament for you guys, like I feel like the truth of the matter is for the tournament is that we're playing for thousands of dollars, and everyone has worked really hard for the past.
Yeah, for the community, like for example, we host like a lot of watch parties in my Discord server, like the PlayStation server. We be screaming in that shit. Like we'll be watching just like the top 8 qualifier for twos, and one of our friends is playing, and we're like dead ass screaming in
Well,
our rooms.
Yeah,
But it, like,
right there is a good example.
obviously-
You said your friend is playing, so like, but continue. Sorry, I just had to.
But
point
even
that out.
outside of that,
Yeah,
like I've watched sets where like no one like I like watching Hexo and Gui play. I don't talk to them like often, but it's
Yeah.
like I'll be watching them and I'll be like getting hyped as shit in my room
Mhm.
because to me it feels like on some BCX shit because I feel like I just love watching tournaments. But obviously to y'all, because you know you're just commentating, you're in the chair, there's not really a crowd, it can feel like it's kind of boring. But like to us, it feels like this is a big moment, but then it's always portrayed as it's like not that important. But to be honest, my only like really big pet peeves with like the commentary is one, like, you know, when people just kind of like don't see what's happening, like when people like miss really important things, and also just people being incorrect. Like that's the big thing for me. Like when someone hits like a true combo and they're like, "Is that true?" I don't think that's a true combo. Or like
Is
someone,
that true?
or
I
someone
hate
like
hearing that shit, bro. Is that true?
I
hate
mean,
hearing that.
or someone like literally does like a gravity cancel and they get caught doing a GC, so they get punished because they have no dodge, and they're like, "Oh, was that like a true combo? Like, how did he hit that? I guess he just didn't dodge." And it's just like, I like those are like the only two things that really like piss me off
I
because
mean,
it happens a lot. Like
if
I
you
think like
think
every
about-
game
If
is
you
like so
think
much.
about how much we're talking about every neutral, like every single, like if you went across my entire like catalog of commentary, I probably said side light side air on orb like 450 times, and I've only been casting Brawlhalla for a year. Like it's bound to happen where we're gonna miss the fact that somebody doesn't have a dodge. Like I feel like that's something.
Well, he's saying, but he's saying get good. I think that's what he's saying. I think
like,
he's saying like get good.
yeah,
you know, and like
absolutely.
don't miss
I
these
would
things.
like for y'all
And
just to not be like wrong as often, pretty much.
so, but I will say,
Are we wrong that
generally
often?
speaking,
Yeah.
maybe I could
Yeah, no, it is.
talk about
You
for
guys are.
myself.
I'm sorry, but you guys are wrong that often. Like dead ass. Like every
Oh,
set.
no,
someone
that's
says wrong
fine.
shit.
Sure.
I'd like to not be wrong. I would like to be pointed out and told when I am wrong, because I don't necessarily like go back and like read Twitch chat, because well, anyways, but the point is, again, let me know. I don't want to be wrong. None of us want to be wrong. If something is true, we miss something, and you know. But you mentioned actually like looking out for like the dodges and whatnot. Or like not knowing if the dodge was gone. That's an interesting point. I feel like I'm always trying to like look out for that and keep that in mind. But then sometimes I see something happen on the screen. I'm like, I literally don't know if they dropped the controller or if they used up the dodge a little bit ago, because it like sometimes, especially something's like really that fast paced and really that high paced, it is something I actively try to keep in mind. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like that is a universal struggle of like every commentator, like knowing, did they burn this resource? Did they burn this option?
I'm a spear player, so
Smash-
I like tunnel vision hard as hell and dodges. Like I see a dodge,
right,
I like.
but we're not necessarily
probably-
just looking at like what you're doing and like your advantage there, right? We also have to like keep in mind like both players like dodges simultaneous. Point is, I agree. I would like to be able to look out for that better. Everybody else would like to be able to look out for that better. If we miss it and it was like really important and it again like messed up like the vibe, you could just let us know.
Also, there's
I'm in agreement.
There's something to be said about like the commentary. Sometimes I know it wasn't a true combo, but I'll say, was that a true combo in Whimsy? Because I want to portray the emotion of, oh my goodness, that was such a you know what I mean? Like you can't always.
I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think we're
Yeah.
talking about like. Was like
Also,
was that a true combo? Like if you guys are genuinely confused, like I'm not fucking with that.
A big one is when like players like blatantly accidentally drop their true combo, but then like y'all was like act surprised if like you didn't know what happened. Like someone will do spear D-light they do recovery without jumping, and they drop that recovery true combo, and you'll be like, oh, going for like the read. I guess I think that was a read.
I mean,
It happens a lot.
That's something that is just like giving credit to the player. Like everyone is in these high octane motives. Like every time somebody messes up, like for example, like if a Wushang player hits a downlight and can hit a recovery on spear, but instead goes for GC Ensig, and people could say, oh, that was a misinput, but like it's giving credit to players and creating a narrative. We don't know what's going on in players' heads. We can't like maybe for you as a pro player, maybe you can, but as a caster, like sometimes we're gonna say like, oh, it was like we're gonna give credit to the player because you are playing for like you know what I mean. Like it's impossible.
He's saying, I think he's saying we should be playing the game more to recognize when something like was a misinput or like when something was a mistake or when something was a lead.
I feel like it's better. Yeah, and I feel like it's better and safer for like, for example, if someone like hit a spear delight and you guys expected him to go for recovery, but he didn't. He went for like GCN or some crazy ass read that just dropped or completely missed. I feel like it'd be better to be like, oh my god, he didn't do recovery. Like, what was that? Like, why did he do that? And be like questioning it, not on some like, oh, is he stupid, but more just like wondering, because that'll still like give room to be like, okay, like maybe he had some read in mind, but like I think it's pretty normal to be like, why did he do that? Because why the fuck did he do that? You know what I'm saying? Because like it makes sense. That's what everyone else is saying in their room. It like I would go with whatever makes the most sense, like just logically. Like if he dropped the true combo and opted for a sig read, I would probably be like, oh my god, he dropped it. He didn't go for the combo. I wouldn't say like, obviously like there's sometimes where it's completely obvious that they dropped it, like they just don't jump. But if it's like a hard read where they went for some completely other option that's not even common, in that case you could be like, okay, like I wonder what he had in mind with that. But if he just like blatantly just doesn't jump during his in between his combo, then he's like, oh shit, he dropped the combo. Like you gotta be realistic there.
But then the other side of the coin is like if we make that big call and we're like, why didn't he recovery? And then on Twitter I get added from tax evasion saying, yo, obviously I could have went for recovery, but I didn't. It was a read. Like why are you like, you see what I'm saying? Like there's another side to the coin that I want everyone to kind of understand as well. Like the other perspective of like it can also be the other way.
I think, well, it can if it's something that's that niche, but to be honest, like in most cases, there's not going to be some like alternate thing where you could have went for something else. Like Brawl is a very simple game. There's like, you don't have many mix-ups with your combos. You have a 2-piece combo or a 3-piece combo, and that's literally it.
So again, like I'm in full agreement, but what I'm just saying is like, because it's like difficult to bring up those like specific situations like right now in this moment. If you have something again in mind, like you watch back something and somebody was blatantly wrong. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but like. You could just let us know, man. That's all. Just let us know, and then we'll say my bad, and then we'll fix and work on it. But I'm in agreement.
Not to like, I've been saying this the whole time, but like this is the most important thing to me, and like I just want to make sure. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? And do you guys like see my vision when I'm saying that casters should be like conveying the intensity of the moment and the importance of the tournament and the high level world of the casual scene? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like how I've been elaborating on that?
No, we all 100% agree with you.
Heard.
Yeah, as a caster, we all 100% understand our job to deliver energy so that people understand what's going on. Like we are 100%, every single one of the casters official, and I'm sure community. And if you're an up and coming caster and you're like, this is the first time I'm hearing of this, DM me and we'll get to work, because like that's like everyone. I think everybody is on the same page. Like we obviously want to give you a good experience, and part of that as a caster, your responsibility is to match energy. We 100% hear you. I'm happy that you're giving this criticism, and once again, if there's a moment that just like I'm wrong or anybody's wrong, hit the clip button on Twitch and just DM us, or like you can post the clip and then add us on Twitter. It's a lot better than like subtweeting us and being like every caster.
We all want to get better. I want to get better. PJ wants to get better. You know, all of us want to get like better at doing this thing, because it's it's
so
cool
like
and it's
so
fun.
when I showed that clip with Flambeau talking about the side sig, like you guys understand how that like disrupts the viewer experience, and you don't have to, and I understand I'm putting you on the spot because that's your homie, but like you guys, like I just want to know, like, do you guys like understand like what I'm saying with that?
Yeah,
like, do you understand my perspective?
So not to keep like actuallying this, but like I don't remember seeing that set. I don't remember seeing that set. I don't remember like what happened throughout the rest of that set. And you know, all I saw was like the clip. I could go back and like I could watch like the full VOD if I wanted to. You know, I guess I could do that. But I don't know what happened that tournament off the top of my head.
The clip was really just like Wichibu is down 1-2 against Markimu. He's about to Looking for the edge
It wasn't
guard
gonna
to
be
bring
like
the
the.
five.
We gotta watch like the whole video because like it's a
We gotta
story,
watch, like,
right?
the whole
Yeah,
stuff.
like you can give us the
Yeah.
context of the last 15 seconds and 15 seconds, but that's not what commentary is. Commentary is the entire body of work for the
But
entire
I don't
VOD.
think like
But you,
right. No matter
you're
what
asking,
the story
you're asking
is,
us.
I don't
No,
think
you're
that-
asking us right now on the spot. Did we like that commentary from Flambo with a lot of people listening, and while like Flambo's also like listening, you know? And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, I don't personally, I don't
if you want my
personally
opinion,
feel at liberty.
if you want
you
my
know,
opinion about it,
it's a tough position. Put us in, man.
you can put me in this spot. I don't think that what he did was incredibly egregious, and I don't agree. Like, obviously, could he have said anything else with more substance? Sure, there is a million things he could have said that has more substance. But do I think that this fundamentally removes my immersion, like the way that you said it? No, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree on the severity of the wrongdoing, and I think that for us casters, it feels really bad when it feels like every mistake is a fuck up in a major way, and it's like really, really bad because it's not always that bad. Like this clip, we all agree that this is not a great example. It's not that big of a deal. It sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. Like we need to also have that grace.
Yo, low-key, I was gonna say this earlier, but kind of like we kind of moved on from it. I think one of the reasons why you guys don't get like why it happens this way of like you like you mess up and everyone's like, oh, this guy messed up in this way, is low-key because when you guys are doing your job well, the viewer is like so like immersed that they don't have time to notice that it's like if you're watching a movie and like the acting is really good, you're not, if the acting is really good, you're not thinking, damn, the acting is really good. You're thinking about the characters, you know what I'm saying? And that's the same way it is, I feel like, for you guys, whereas if your casting is really good, then people aren't noticing that you're casting even. People are watching the game, and they're so immersed in the game, and you guys are adding to the experience so much that they're not even thinking, like, damn, this is really good casting. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, exactly. So that exactly leads to my point where it's like, obvious. So if you feel that way, what if the last 3 minutes of that Flambo VOD was really amazing and you weren't even thinking about it? Like, do you remember what Flambo said? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of it.
Well, PJ, I think what is trying to be said is that it is inevitable that, like, not to be like too pretentiously like tragic about it, but it is like almost like innately thankless to like do it like well, right? Unless you like do something so exceptional that like it gets clipped, which doesn't necessarily happen all the time. But I don't actually think that is something that could be culturally changed on a big level in regards to the food we eat, in the movies that we watch, in the commentary that we listen to. I don't think it's actually going to happen where we note and always comment on when something's being done right and something is being done well. But what I also just want to say is like, in regards to this, especially with almost like how limited and infrequent our public exposure is to this kind of an audience, and especially because not all of us have like super like big audiences in other places, and there is no like very explicit public like media trading on this sort of thing. We're not like, a lot of our emotions and a lot of our pride is like still kind of like behind it, so it feels bad, and it's like I feel like something we're all actively working on to realize and understand that like, oh, it's only like the times that we don't do so well that are going to get pointed out. I feel like that's like an inevitability. It's something that at least I'm trying to like work on like coping with, but I don't necessarily like if PJ, I don't know if this is what you're trying to say. I don't know if you're trying to say that we should be noticing more when people do it well. I don't think that we can actually change that on a significantly large enough cultural level.
No,
maybe on an individual one we can, but I feel like it's an inevitability.
So how I feel about it is, if you don't give a shit when we're doing a really good job, don't nitpick a singular moment and be like because this happens, like this happens all the time, where I will get off my block and I'll see a tweet, Brawlhalla commentary is the worst it's ever been, the casters don't know what the fuck they're talking about, I can barely understand them. And it's like, bro, I just did a fucking bang up job for the last 35 minutes and you clip this one clip and it just sucks. Like, obviously, how are we supposed to respond to that? Because there's obviously the ego side of it, but also me making a singular mistake on commentary is not
public post about it. I think we've all like agreed though. I mean, I've agreed. I've told people that you should agree with me on this, that like, you know, the public discourse on it on any level is just like not effective in communicating that info.
Yeah.
So I'm in agreement with you, PJ, on the sentiment, but like again, like all I'm trying to say is I think all casters, myself included, can do like a better job of like coping with the reality of people are not going to always point out like the good moments. People will sometimes DM you that you had like a good cast if they're trying to be a friend, or they actually just mean it sometimes. It's nice. But again, if you want to point it out to us, like putting that on Twitter, the least helpful thing that you can do, it immediately puts somebody on the defensive, and then you get people in the replies saying like vile shit sometimes. At least in my case, that happens quite often. So DM us, literally DM us, and we want to.
I like this PSA. Like I'm fucking with this, but yeah, I agree. I think we all agree. Yeah. Does anyone else have any points or anything like that?
I think it's obvious. It's obvious that people are gonna like nitpick and like especially like this regular Brawl Twitter community because I'm only saying shit that like I only bring it up when I see it happen so many times that I feel like I need to bring it up. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah,
see
that's
one
also
bad
true.
thing. That's the only
Like-
reason why like we're talking about it right now. It's just because this is like what me and Flower are saying in Megdi. This is the buildup of like 5+ years of seeing this like to a point where it just got to a point. It's not like it just got so bad, but it's more just like it
Yeah.
happens so frequently that we're like like
It's
it
also
seems
it's
like they
not
just
like
don't
we're
know.
we're nitpicking like a specific like literally with that close specifically that side I didn't like a Flambo's casting. I went to the spring championship VOD, clicked on a random space, listened to the casting for 30 seconds, and I like it's not like I'm searching specifically. Like I literally
Yeah,
went to
well,
a
it's like he
random
like
part of the
remembered
VOD.
it and he's like, I'm gonna find it. Right? Like he
Yeah.
just
I
clicked on a
literally went to
random
random part
bot
of
and
the
was
VOD.
like, fuck it, like there's probably something right here, and
Yeah,
then there
it's
was.
not
But
good.
it's more like the frequency, and it's not like how severe it is, but it just adds up. Like a lot of like small, minor mistakes add up to a point where it kind of feels unserious. It's like, boom, like one person gets the combo name wrong, and it's not even like it's all on one person. Like I feel like it might be taking it a little bit personal, PJ, because like it's not like it's all on one person where everyone's just like PJ fucking sucks ass. It's more just like it'll be like PJ like sees a combo and says the wrong name for the move. Then in like the next block, like Sparky's like talking about fucking like fish and like Cheez-Its for like a minute straight. It's game 5, last hit red, and then like in like the next block, like something else similar happens, and it just kind of adds up to a point where it's just like because I do watch parties. I do a lot of watch parties, and it's like it's that ass like every 5 minutes where like my chat brings something up that was kind of like
Okay.
like
Yeah.
like when Taza was commentating, he just sounded so fucking mad, bro. Like he was talking about free
That was
best
funny,
shot
I
rooms,
remember that.
and he was just so like he was like it was almost like he was trying to make it seem like the pros were just like dog shit. He's like,
I mean,
bro, the
I
fucking
will
matchup is so free. Just do this.
to give him credit. Typh did clear Vemtan Kilo with the pick that they like. Sorry, Taza was giving the same thing, and so was Flammo, the same analysis from every caster that we were saying. If you pick up Hammer and Blasters and do really well on Cassidy, it'll destroy Priya. There's counterplay to Priya, and then it happens. So like, obviously, I feel like there needs to be some credit on the other side of it, where it's like sometimes we are right, and sometimes
Yeah,
it comes off as bad. But
I
it
think that is
happens.
true. I also think that like I think that Spear is a weapon that is amazing in the pre-patch chakrams. Like I wasn't disagreeing with like the overall story, but it got to the point where he was just dragging it. It was like every game, every set, every interaction, he just kept talking like so aggressively about how like the matchup is so easy for Hammer and blah 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 blah. But then it's not like it happened one time where I was like, what the hell? It would be like my watch party, we were just like laughing. We're like, damn, why are you so mad, bro? And then it just kept being like, yo, why is he so fucking mad? Yo, chill. And then he just keeps going, and then the next block starts, and then like Foda like says that he's never seen Sandstorm play Mirage, even though he commented the tournament where he won a major on Mirage. Then he gets that wrong. Then people are just like talking about random shit, and it just adds up over the entire tournament. And then people tweet like the BMG casting is bad, but they're not talking about like one person.
I have one thought. I have one thought for you before I have to go, which is, if you think we should kill Sparky, I'd like to see a raise of hands or a thumbs down, because I want to see like how everybody feels.
Yeah,
about
we need to sacrifice him to the sun god.
Yeah, we need to figure this out at the moment.
I see a lot
anyways,
of people in here that would usually thumbs down and aren't doing it because they're worried Sparky's watching. It's okay, it's a safe place. We'll give you one chance now.
So point is, before we have to go, just let us know whenever you feel like something was like that egregious, or like there was like a big problem. I'm in agreement with you. I feel like we, to the point of like we're like repeating the things that we said.
Yeah, we're pretty much done here.
I am letting you know that your concerns have been heard in regards to getting things wrong about the game enough that it's distracting, in regards to you feel like there's like an emotional disconnect between like what you feel like should be a really hype moment and then the casters aren't doing that, so it'll be at least something that I'm keeping in mind more. We're not like a monolith. You got to just like DM us based on each individual commentator for like each block, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll be keeping it in mind more. PJ will be keeping it in mind more, I'm sure.
No,
we'll all be trying to. Oh, you're perfect? Yeah, I bet, man. So that's all I got. Thanks for letting me talk.
No problem.
Thanks for saying that like
yeah,
actually
that's all I'm saying.
Means a lot. I don't know, like I'm sure like the like witty, like actually hearing a commentator say like, yeah, like that was like we're gonna actually try and improve on that, like even if
Yeah,
something
that's
small like
good.
that, hearing that,
Yeah.
like, has
The
a
whole
lot of
community
weight.
just wants to know that you guys care. To be honest, that's what I feel
I,
like.
not,
At least.
yeah, I will say that it's good, and also like if you look at our Twitters, we're always like I tweet after every single event for the last like 80. I commentated like more Brawlhalla than anyone last year, and I always tweet like, if you have any constructive criticism, please don't let me know. And I know every single other caster shares that sentiment with me. Please just DM us. Subtweeting like these grandeur posts of like everything is so bad and everything is so bad, and we don't know who you're talking about, and it's just like really like to us it just comes off of like what the fuck did I do wrong or who did wrong. We don't know, so please just let us know. We're happy to listen.
Yep.
Yo, this is low key. Actually, bro, I kind of want to bring this up, but this is not even necessarily a casting thing, but this is because we're kind of like, this is like a good vibe, like we're ending off on a good note here. But like, I kind of want to bring this up of like, bro, regarding like Brawlhalla in general. I feel like Brawl is like can be ran like way better. Like I feel like specifically like the vision that I have for Brawl like as an esport, like I feel like there can be so much more done regarding like I feel like they need to promote players' personality. I feel like they need to promote players' brands. Like there needs to be more interviews, more content at the Royales, like stuff like that. Like I remember they interviewed Hideaway and Balloon Boy after their win of Autumns or something. I thought that was good, but like it's not consistent enough. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like
Yeah, it should be expected.
It's really
Yeah,
it's
like,
really
obviously-
hard to coordinate interviews with people, especially like EU ends at midnight. I've had 2 different moments last year where Toast or with some production will go in my ear and go, "We're gonna have a Godly interview," and then 5 minutes later we're filling for time. He goes, Godly doesn't want to do it anymore," or so I don't mean to call out Godly. This is just an example. Or somebody doesn't want to do it
Okay.
anymore. So it's very
Actually,
hard
let
to
me
like
make
coordinate that stuff.
let me make this
Players say no,
productive
to
for
be
a
fair.
second.
Yeah.
Let me make this productive for a second. I feel like, you know, if those are things that you want, well, I'm still once again like directing it to the channel of you should talk to somebody that is able to make that happen a little bit more. And so the 2 names I have for you, okay, if you have serious things that you would like to be heard, maybe don't bombard his DMs, but you could DM Toast. And then we have Mr. Defensive, okay, listening in. Defensive, what do you feel like would be the best course of action for making players feel heard? Can you request the microphone? Can somebody give him the mic in here? I want to know what is the best way for those things to get like translated over, because the commentators, that's not you tell us, we have no sway in that regard whatsoever. We can't do anything for you about that. So that's a question I think.
I'm knowing that's why I'm saying
Defensive
like,
and
but
Toast.
it's more because we're talking to the community right now. I feel like that's why I bring this up. That's why I said it was kind of unrelated. Like I just feel like, you know, we have so many passionate people in this community and in this scene that I feel like Brawl is really something special, bro. Like I feel like we could really like transcend this game if we all really work hard to the point to where it's like actually to the point where it's like, yo, this is some real deal shit. Like I feel like the general consensus of the community is that the game is not what it once was, which is definitely hurts to see as a player, as a caster, as a community member, as a streamer, everyone, because it's like, yo, I want this shit that I'm passionate about. Like, I want it to be good. So
just real quick, I have a PSA from Brawlhalla BMG, copyrighted from the company. If you have any criticisms and would like to get it known, esports@brawlhalla.com on Twitter, esports@brawlhalla.com on Twitter. Please send them an email. DMing people is tough because people get a lot of DMs, and also people have really busy lives, but esports@brawlhalla.com is a great way to email them or send them an email and get your criticisms across. That's a great outlet for it. Contrary to what I will say and make jokes about, Sparky does not work for BMG. I don't work for BMG. A lot of the casters are just contractors. Please just feel free to DM or email them directly, esports@brawlhalla.com. Just a quick heads up.
I'm going to jump in quickly. Thanks for letting me speak. Glad to see this discourse going on. I really respect people, you know, going out of their way to talk about things and try to make things better. Again, I'm going to be short because I'm at a party. I don't know if you guys can hear the karaoke in the background, but things are going off. In regards to player interviews, the expectation, I believe, most of the time is to interview players who have just won a tournament, which leaves it to the end of things. To BJ's point, it's been a long day for a lot of these players. They don't often have the energy to go ahead and be a part of this interview. They don't have time to prepare statements or anything, and that's why there is that call-in studio link, which I've seen people utilize. It's super cool to see,
I use it.
and thank you for using it. Do you think that the onus is on BMG to convince more people to use that tool, or do you think the onus is on BMG to convince more players to be interviewed at the end of tournaments, in between tournaments, during break when they're rushing to get a drink of water or a snack or something?
Celebrating with their chat.
Not even.
Where's
yeah.
the best time to interview these players during a tournament?
So not even necessarily like interviews, like that's a specific example, but I'm also talking more about content from the players in general. So one thing specifically also, like I remember seeing you guys do like the prospective, you know what I'm saying? And like that's cool. Like I like that. I like doing that in the pre-show, the prospective. I know there's something popping in my head right now of like, you know, players saying something wrong, and like I get you guys don't want that happen all the time, but like stuff like that where it's like pre-show, prospective, like interview, that also even having like players like give their thoughts like a couple of days before the tournament or something like that, just in general, like rallies to get players to like make content or show their personality in a way that you can develop stories.
So my question then is it BMG's responsibility to entice players to make their own content? Because very, very
not
often
content,
it
like
seems
not their own content, but like
no, I'm
in
saying
the tournaments.
content as in like their interviews and like their like, you know, their thoughts on a tournament and stuff like that. And
so
like,
my question is, so the onus is on BMG to give them a platform to speak on, where shouldn't they already use the platforms they already have to become a personality,
They
become a
don't get a
brand? I know
platform.
Cosplix is in here.
They don't
They've
get a
endeavored
platform anymore.
intensely.
Why don't they get a platform? Like
okay, let me say something real quick. So like I would say this is a great argument for like how the game was. Nowadays, you don't get a platform anymore. I went pro in 2020, so I went pro like long enough ago to a point where like when I did go pro, I got so many followers from it because the scene was like really big back then, so I was able to build my own platform from it. But nowadays, like I remember when Radish won his first major, he went live on Twitch, didn't get hosted, and had 20 viewers after winning his first major. You don't get the platform anymore because there's not enough people, and I feel like the community used to be a lot more united because the community was united via the pro scene because there was so much content on these pros, and there was, you know, they obviously went out of their way to build their own their branding because that was just back like in like the real like glory days of the game. But the community was revolved around the pro scene. There was a lot of interviews. There was hot ones where you eat like the pros eat like the
and also like the interviews were like remember that interview with Cody and stuff where they were like
the pro that. Yeah, we used to have pro series and that kind of stuff where you would pick a team. Like I was on pro series and we had to pick a team, then make a video about why we picked who and why. But I think nowadays, like, it's not really like a ritual anymore to see like, oh, this guy went pro. I wonder what he thinks. Like, I want to see what he thinks. And
so
I don't think
what I'm hearing is that BMG needs to give a platform to pros that don't go out of their way to make a platform for themselves, to make themselves heard outside of things. Because sure, a pro can tweet this, that, whatever, and maybe the peanut gallery chimes in. But what I'm hearing from y'all is like it's BMG's fault that pros aren't active on social media.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily
also,
true.
Real quick, just want to give a little bit of perspective as well. These things are great, but they also cost money to do. So, like, for example, just to give an example, like doing things like this, for example, like having these great ideas, a lot of them are either backed by the passion of a lot of people that care a lot, like community ran things. Like, for example, like Baron does really cool stuff in the lore stuff. Obviously, we're not talking about that right now, but this costs a lot of money to do, and it has more manpower and more production difficulties for them. So, for example, from the perspective of somebody that I don't know anything about production, but from the perspective of a caster, doing prospective on a stream requires the casters that are doing the pre-show to do that. Also, the pro player needs to be fully integrated in, and then the production needs to bring them in. The pro player has to be on time, can't miss the block. We only have 3 minutes to talk to them because we have to start the matches. We have a schedule to adhere to. So, like, a lot of these things you're talking about, we do still. We do a lot of these things at the Royale, for example. Like last year, I remember we interviewed almost every single player at the Royale talking about a plethora of things. If you go on the YouTube channel, Brawlhalla Esports, and you go into the Shorts tab, Shorts have started to be uploaded that are interviews with Yous and Godly, and I know they're old and it takes time to do things because it costs a lot of money to record something in high production and then also edit it and then upload it. These are all things that require a lot of resources. Once again, I don't work at BMG. I know nothing about it, but just knowing how things operate, it's very expensive to do things. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think, okay, here's a couple things. Like, one, to address a couple points. One, like I understand that the interviews are hard, but even it doesn't necessarily have to be that. And when we're talking about BMG's responsibility to grow the brand of the players, it's not necessarily like you don't have to force someone to make a platform for themselves. But I mean, if a player just won the tournament and then the player's streaming, like I feel like you should host them like you did before. Like even that.
So from that
like,
perspective, as BMG is rated by the ESRB and by Peggy at ESRB 10, Peggy 7, to host somebody who is technically an unknown quantity that is not guaranteed to uphold the values of the brand, we are, and I'm probably speaking out of turn here, but we're legally bound to not host them. If somebody's going to get hosted and start swearing, we shouldn't support that. We can't support that. So it really boils down to these pro players, these personalities, these brands that they're trying to build to be in line with the values of the game and our rating. We can't host somebody that's going to, trash our game, talk shit about crossovers. If they're going to talk about things in a negative way, why would we host them? Because it does seem more often than not that negativity, and this is, not just Brawlhalla, this is across all of social media, that negativity gets more reactions than anything else. And because of that, it's perpetuated more on social media, which is something we have to be very cognizant of because our player base is younger and we don't want to promote people who are not family friendly.
So what you're saying is you can't promote the players' brands because they're are not in line with
they could be a brand risk pretty much. It's a brand risk technically, especially if
that's exactly it.
We're not saying that this is like great. This obviously like we would love. I'm sure that from my perspective, I would love if they could do that, but I know they can't do it. Just that's how ESRB is, and that's how like the brand is. I don't work for them. Once again, I keep saying we and shit. That's just how I talk. It's really bad habit. I don't work for them. I don't speak for them, but like it sucks. Like I don't think that's great that it happens, but that's just how it is.
I can understand like the hosting thing, but with the interviews though, like I do feel like it's almost like it's pretty hard and it's pretty uncommon because I watch a lot of platform fighting games and just regular fighting games in general. I feel like it's kind of hard to like not interview players because as someone who is like I said before, I watch a lot of esports. I have all these different favorite players because like they'll win a set at the tournament and they'll get interviewed after they win the set. Not even like the tournament, but like they'll win a set and they'll have a small little break where they get interviewed after they win the set. And obviously like these pro scenes are a bit more like solidified. So like they know that these are people that they can trust interviewing. It's not like a random person. But I feel like Brawl does have staple pros that they could trust interviewing and
we
be
do
consistent
that
with.
at like BCX and LANs, for example. Like Glitter Explosion is doing on-site interviews that are being streamed, and as casters we direct the flow of the show of like, okay, and we're gonna pass it off to Glitter and Use is gonna talk about his win. So like the thing is that it's very logistically difficult to do this online because this is how the process goes for me as a caster to join the stream. I get sent a link, and then the link, I have to click the link, and then I have to make sure the camera and the audio works, and then production needs to get my video and make sure that it fits in the overlay, and then make sure my audio is right, make sure I'm not only coming in on one channel, make sure that my gain is right, and then they're like, PJ, can you fix the microphone? These are all things that are happening while production is also making sure that the camera's on the right scene, the stats are going through, the replay's happening, the casters are also talking, and as a caster we're getting the audio of, by the way, we might have a interview in 5 minutes, please keep stalling, and then I'm like talking about the tournament and I keep saying the same thing. So it's really logistically difficult from the production perspective to give the platform of these interviews, especially if it's not just the interview at the end of the night. And even at the end of the night interview, some of these tournaments are ending at like 1 a.m. for EU. So it's like really difficult for us to get the EU players to be like, hey, by the way, stop talking to your stream and stop being excited because now you have to go onto the stream and be brand friendly and also do this. It's very logistically difficult, and it costs a lot more money.
I get
also
that,
the
but
point of like a lot of the professional players in the Brawlhalla scene, they don't consistently make their own content, and because of that, their personality comes through more so through tweets than it does through videos or through streams, which is
that's okay.
very difficult to really get the full picture of a player.
I think
an interview
that's
doesn't do as much as them being consistent on social media.
I think it does. I think an interview does wonders. Like I watch a lot of Melee. Like
it does if they're
a lot
a
of my
known quantity,
favorite
and
players,
like PJ said, it's much easier to do that at a LAN event versus an online event where a Brawlhalla player just needs the bare minimum, a computer, right? They don't need a microphone. They don't need a camera. Those are required for the setup. Also, I would assume that half the players are comfortable in their own space and not ready for their space to be a set which is why most of them probably defer an interview in the first place. They're not in a studio. They're not in a nice place where their quality's good, their lighting's
I
good,
mean,
they're
And
dressed well, etc.
people's English aren't good either. So it's also embarrassing
think-
for us as an international game to get people that don't speak really great English for them to be
But-
put on the spot and given an interview in a short time frame. That's also a difficulty. That's another logistical.
I get these nuances, but like you're listing like the average regular Brawl player, but we're talking about like people who have made thousands of dollars off of the game. Like they're not going to be like someone who's just like foreign to the idea of having a
Do
camera.
you think
or
Godly
having
has never rejected an interview?
I wouldn't know.
Do you think that Kaina has never said no? I don't want to interview today.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, so like I know for a fact that sometimes they're just we used to want to do interviews, and then sometimes the players would just be like, no, I don't really feel like doing an interview. It's 1 a.m. right now.
So my question would be, on PJ's point, is any interview better than a litany of bad interviews where the pros don't show themselves in the best light, when they're ill prepared, or they're tired, or it's the end of the day? Is having an interview?
I think it's
that
okay to have
important
an
that
interview.
they could be in a bad light.
I think it's okay to have an well, you're saying bad light, but is it really a bad light just to be tired? Because I feel like that's more human. You get interviewed after winning a major, and you're showing how tired you are.
Well,
Like
you're
you stayed up.
giving the perspective for yourself, but a lot of players don't agree. I mean, I've literally heard from players before that they're like, I've literally got Spargo after he won a tournament over MK Leo at main stage, the same venue that MK Leo tragically beat him in a way that was so tragic that it's one of the most viewed clips in Smash history. And I asked him, would you like to do an interview after? And he literally said, no, I don't feel like it. I'm tired. So like, it's not always as simple. Like we cannot force players to do that. I keep saying I'm not production, but we just can't. It goes both ways. There needs to be a give and a take. Where it
you
also
gotta understand.
works.
I don't know if y'all ask or how often y'all ask. I just know that I never see any. That's all I'm saying. And it's kind of like a paradox because defensive, you were saying like they have to grow their own brand and do their own thing, but it's kind of like a paradox because it's really hard to like be a pro nowadays and grow your own brand through the game because like all like this is kind of off topic, but like this isn't anything like new. Like we've had interviews and we've had like this is stuff that we've seen before. Like it's not like this is like new stuff that we're bringing to the table. The reason why I feel like the pro scene was much more like cohesive back then was because we just did have the content back then. We had all the content.
Things were much cheaper back then to do, and also like budgets change every year. So like what was happening in 2020 is like fundamentally different from the budget that you look at 2024.
But you were saying like
I'm going to double down on that point. It's at the end of the day, it's not about money. Brawlhalla Esports it costs BMG a lot of money. It does not make BMG a lot of money, right? to have pros that are content focused and also extremely good at the game is an impossible balance, right? Because if you focus on content, one of the most important things to build your own brand is being consistent. I don't know if anybody in the current, like, let's just this nebulous top 8 that is consistently making content and building a brand for themselves, which at the same time trains them to be ready for interviews. You don't need media training, but you need to be comfortable in front of a camera. You need to be able to think on your feet. There's not a lot of pros that are practicing that on top of gameplay because gameplay
I get that, but
is king.
I don't think that
real
you.
quick.
I don't think
Toast wants to talk. He's the production guy for Brawlhalla Esports. Can we give him the microphone, please?
Yeah, go.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I didn't want to say this though. Like, I don't think that you have to be like a full-time content creator just to deserve like a little bit of spotlight for being good at the game. You know, I feel like a player
To
shouldn't
PJ's
have
point,
to be
it's,
like.
You don't
they
think
do
we
deserve
give him
the
a
spotlight. They
spotlight?
get it, but they defer it. They're too concerned. They're too anxious to get
we do
on.
a post
This is
show
the
where
first
we
time-
literally talk about esports for an hour where I literally sit there and say AMGG is really, really like we do post show, we do pre-show, we talk about it. Like we post clips on Twitter for them. Like what more do you want? Like from BMG, we're literally
Like-
they're literally paying us to do a post show where all we do for an hour straight is talk about Brawlhalla Esports and how great the players played.
We want to hear the players talk about the game. That's all we wanted to hear. but
Then
you-
why don't they
that's
tweet? Why don't
awesome.
they tweet that? Why does it have to be on BMG's dime to do that? Why can't they just do that and put it in the nebulous?
Okay.
Like I don't understand why it's up
let
to
me,
them.
Let me jump in here. I'm
You
about
are
to
the
go to
boss.
bed. I'm an old man. It's midnight. Also, I am of opinion that this space has gone on past the point where I think there's a lot of value coming out of it. But I do want to come out here and say a couple of things real quick. One, interviews are always open. We get turned a lot of thumbs down. That's great. We get turned down a lot. Almost every region, first place has turned us down. Prospectives, yeah, those have kind of slipped. I do want to bring those back, but also the amount of times players have no shot on me That sucks.
I wasn't aware that y'all even like tried to ask. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't know myself.
This year we haven't.
I assume that y'all just
For
haven't
the
tried.
prospectives, we haven't this year. No, but
It's
interviews
not something
we have
we
tried.
advertise on stream either, Toast. We don't tell people that players defer an interview because that makes them look bad.
Yeah,
We
I
would
wouldn't. I
never
wouldn't just do that.
do
yeah.
that.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. It's cool. Like I don't like whatever. Like everyone's here because they care about the game and the esport, and that's cool. And like feels a little defensive sometimes. Hey, no pun intended there. But like we do offer these things, and interviews especially, they get turned down. Lands, like we've said, it's easier. We want to make content on the players. Royales, part of the whole Royale is literally a media day. Sometimes the footage takes a long time to process through. Y'all may sit there and think that we're a massive team. We're not. We're pretty fucking small at the end of the day. And we have a lot of people wearing many hats, which I know you guys are going to say we'll hire more people. I wish the world worked that way. I have a list of about 6 people who I would hire in a heartbeat full time if I could. I can't do that. So the thing is, yes, like having more content that is player focused is great. Love that. Interviews, great. Love that. Y'all got to say yes when we ask you. And a lot of time we get told no. Perspectives, yes. You know, those are going to come back. We do a lot of changes to kind of streamline the workflow and make everything good and nice and happen. Sometimes things don't happen because we're working on making sure other stuff is going.
Right.
The other thing I got to throw out there too is that the feedback we get a lot of the time too, and this is kind of like a fighting game classic, but like it's start the game, right? And I think Brawlhalla has done a really nice job. I think the community as a whole has done a really nice job over the last 7 or 8 years, being more comfortable with stuff in between gameplay. But every time we do a content fill, we're holding the set, we're holding a match, we're holding the flow, right? And we do try not to do that as much as we can, right? There's almost never a break between lowers, finals, and grand finals, right? When we get that flow going, we got to get that flow going. We stop every 2 sets so we can run ads. We run ads in between games, right? During a break where viewers can go away so that viewers don't get ads in breaks, right? But we try and be very specific in the way that we time things out because you guys are already going through a very long day. So are we. And we don't want you to have to be waiting longer than you have to be waiting.
Right.
And so I wanted to pop in and say these things. Like, yes, player focused content is great. The brand friendly thing is a real thing. Unfortunately, you know, like the ESRB is something we have to kind of adhere to, and it sucks sometimes. Really, it is quite limiting. But the game is E10 plus, right? We're PEGI 7. Like we are literally a game made for kids, right? Like there are things like PJ might have said it earlier. I don't know. I only hopped in a little bit later, but like we literally are not allowed to say kill on broadcast, right? Like like we're not allowed to. So like when you're listening, like sometimes it'll slip through. Some folks are less good about it than others, but like listen to the commentary, they say KO, they say knockout, they don't say kill, right?
Guns
Die.
and blasters.
Like there's a lot of like things like that.
Yeah, we don't even say losers bracket.
Elimination bracket.
Yeah, we have to say.
Okay, hold on. Loser bracket is because elimination bracket I think more accurately describes the stakes of that bracket. Yes, you're a loser, you lost there. Like get good, whatever. But like actually, the stakes of that lower bracket is that if you lose, you're out. Like that's why elimination bracket. Why we use that terminology because it describes the stakes of that bracket much better than losers bracket. Right. One shows a state, one shows what happens if you lose. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I think it's good, and I like how I think I can kind of speak for the whole community here. I think it's nice to hear that you guys are thinking about these things because like when we just watch the stream and say, oh, there's no interview, like we kind of have to assume like where it comes from you guys. But it's nice knowing that you guys know that like it's good to have player interviews and the players' brand and stuff like that. So like that's nice to hear, especially from the community perspective, that you guys are like you understand like where we're coming from and what we're saying and stuff like that. And I'm glad that you guys do the Royale content, and I'm glad you guys try for the interviews because like no one knows like if a player turns on an interview or not. Like we just see that it doesn't happen. So like we're kind of forced to make the assumptions. You know what I'm saying? And that's not on you for not saying it, but that's just the truth of the matter that people don't know. So I think that's good. What you're saying right now is that the community is able to like see now your guys' like perspective and your thoughts on it, and the reason why things don't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to throw out there too that like the onus is on the players to have a personality and to have a brand. If you have no brand and I put you on an interview, great, that's going to be great. I'll do that anyways. That goes a lot less farther. You know, like I got to give credit to Kostelix because Kostelix has been pushing forever. Like players just make content, right? Just make content. It doesn't matter. Like literally put your camera on and stream ranked. Like it doesn't care if it's to 10, 15 people, right? Like that work on the player side, there is literally nothing we can do that can be better than that, right? Like any platform we have that we provide, right, by that you guys get by winning, by doing well, by placing well, by having a pop-up performance, by upsetting a seed, right? Like that will never go as far if you don't have your own brand already established, or you're not already establishing your brand, right?
I think,
and that's like that. Literally, like get in front of a camera, play ranked games. I don't care.
I can't name a single pro who doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like I be seeing.
I've watched kind of stream
ranked.
ranked.
I'm saying. Yeah, like, and they be streaming ranked, and that's why at least from our
Balloon
perspective,
Boy does content. He streams. Marky Mood does
Balloon Boy
YouTube.
doing content is great.
Like,
I know doing content is great. Like
I know what you said about like them being a brand risk and stuff, but like, so like you can't promote it, but like you have to understand that when people are streaming content and they're getting like 20 viewers, but they won the tournament last, like, I remember.
Viewer numbers are very, very reliant on consistency, and streaming once or twice does not make for 120, like, 300 viewers, whatever.
Not to be super nitpicky, but like the players you just mentioned, we're not going to interview them because they just lost in like pretty tragic ways. Like Balloon Boy and Marky Moo did not win the most recent tournament. It's just very faux pas to interview somebody that just lost. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which goes to my comment earlier of like, do we only interview winners? And at that point, who's going to be the winner?
I don't know if I want to interview a loser. Like if you ask PJ the caster,
we're not.
Look.
You know what I mean? Unless you come to us and say, I want to interview, like, cool, we'll take it, right? Like, and Diff mentioned it too. Like, literally, we do run, and I'm actually considering cutting it because nobody uses it. Like, we literally, I pay Skiff to sit there in front of his computer during these online weekends to take calls from literally anyone about anything, right? Like, and again, like, you know, we can reach out more, and that's something that we can definitely work on. But like, we actually I really want to hear the voices of the people, because that's what's for me when I watch a broadcast. I'm like, oh, that's a fan. They're tuning in. That's really cool, right? Like, that's a really cool moment. And so, like, we've put those tools in, and, you know, like, people don't use them.
It's a great point. Slow-Mo mentioned it earlier today on Twitter. The community asks for a lot of opportunities, and when opportunities are presented, it feels like so often they're underutilized. And that there's negative sentiment around us not doing enough where opportunities are available and they're not used. So the question really is, like, do you want more, or do you want us to convince you better to do more? Do you need more incentive to be present, to do these things?
I mean, at least for me, like, I would love to do an interview, like, at all, like, if you're saying you specifically, but I think, like, what you guys are saying with the interview, should you only interview winners? Like, yeah, if they don't want to do that, that's fine. Like, I understand.
Which is why we brought up the call-in feature, the call me, which is super underutilized the last 2 weekends.
Right, it's fine. Like, it's
to be honest, also, like, I don't really know how much you guys, like, are like talking about that. The way that I saw the way that I called it is I saw a little like text on the bottom.
We call to action 4 or 5 times a set. Like literally, I said, please call in at least 20 times in the last weekend, because the production will literally tell us in our ear, make sure to tell people to call in, or after the break we're gonna do a call in. Tell people to call in. I tweeted, make sure you call in. Baron tweeted, make sure to call in. Like, we're all doing it. We're all trying.
So a productive way to look at this. Do you want us to promote the call-in feature more off the tournament day to make it more known so people are prepared ahead of time to do a call-in? Do we want us to maybe pre-record them a week prior to tournaments? It kills them being relevant and current, but do you want more opportunities to phone in earlier to be heard?
I think that would be good. And also, I've been trying to say this for a little while, like, also, like, you don't have to interview people like after the tournament. Like, I think it would be good if you would like a week before the tournament or like 2 weeks before the tournament, you contact a bunch of players, like what Toast said about saying like, maybe you need to reach out more. Like if I were in your guys' position, I would contact like the top 10 PR and I'll be like, yo, do you want to do an interview like summer 2 weeks for the tournament? Talk about your thoughts for the tournament, like how you are feeling going in and stuff like that. And I think that would not only help players' brands, but also kind of build more excitement towards the tournament of like, yo, this player says he's going to do good, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
So you want Brawlhalla
Yo,
to
I
reach
swear
out to
they did
people and
that
ask?
before.
You
They
want
did that a
Brawlhalla
couple
to
times.
reach out to them and then have them send us in and then have them send a recording and then Brawlhalla put it on screen? Like, what? I don't understand
Yeah,
how this is a good idea, but then the call-in feature that literally is active the
No,
entire
we
day.
never said that was a bad idea either. We never said that was a bad
But it
idea.
didn't
I've
work.
used it. I like it.
Yeah, but it didn't work. Like we got less than.
I've never heard of it.
We got
I
less
don't
than.
play actually. I never heard of it.
Anyways,
Like I don't.
Again,
yeah.
the point is we're not here. Like the individual nitty gritty. Like I don't really give a shit about that right now, and that's where I think things are kind of going off track. Like I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I also want to caution. Also saying I speak for the whole community. You don't. Like you speak for a very vocal piece of the community. Yes, but like when we talk about the Brawlhalla community, it's big.
125, one in 125. Who got the title? Who logged on? You know.
So like, and that's not to minimize what you're saying and what you're providing, because it is important, right? And it is heard. But I do want to caution that this is a common thing that people feel and people see and they talk about. They say, I feel this way. All of my friends feel this way. Their friends feel this way. Therefore, this is how everyone feels. And that is a very dangerous road to go down, because more often than not, it's actually not. It's not a good metric. And that's not to minimize or dunk or anything on what you're saying and the value of what you're saying. It doesn't make it any less. I just this is a pet peeve of mine that I just want to put a caution out there too, that like,
right.
we are small people in a big world.
Right. No, I get it. I think like when I say like I speak for the community, like I'm just saying what I see. Like I'm not saying the entirety of the Brawlhalla community. It's more of a hyperbole there. I'm more so saying like my friends, which consists of the pros, feel this way. Like what I see on Twitter, what the people I talk to, like if I see that they feel this way, like even if it's not the entire community, but I just want to,
and
like these are the people that I talk to, like they feel this way. I feel like that definitely has some merit, even if it's not the
yeah,
entire
and
community.
I'm not discounting that at all. I'm just like, my pet peeve is that like there are layers and there are communities within communities, and it's like we are in one community and this circle Venn diagrams with other circles, right? But like we are not the whole circle.
Yeah, but I don't think it would hurt like at all just to have like a little bit more insight for the average player.
Well,
like
here's the
you
thing,
guys
right?
aren't the
Like,
average player, first of all. Not to cut Toast off.
I'm saying as the viewer being the average player.
Well, what do you
like,
think
the viewer?
Like what is an average view? What is an average viewer, average player? We just got the thing one in 125 million. Like
So-
everybody in this call right now is a super hyper ultra minority of the scene. I'm confused at what you mean.
I'm talking about like the people that watch the tournaments, like the general people that stick around. Like I can't say who, but the people that stick around. Like, how many viewers do we get per tournament? Like per major? Like I would say, what was it, like 15,000 or something like that? Is that how many viewers we get?
5K now.
Yeah, like
15,000 was two big numbers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's like 6,000. So like there's 6,000 people that are kind of just consistently coming to the tournaments. I'm talking about like those people, the people on Twitter that are always there. I feel like it wouldn't hurt for them to have like some extra things to see, like some extra insight on like what the pros think, because that's kind of how you gain a favorite player. It's kind of hard to gain a favorite player off of like strictly only gameplay, or just
and
winning
again,
everything.
I'm not disagreeing with you here, and again, like the community thing was really just kind of an aside, because it's a pet peeve and it's a trap that people fall into all the time. And I am going to go to bed. I am an old man. It is midnight. And I'm tired. It's been a day. But like I do want to leave you guys with this, which is that like nobody here is doing this work because it's a paycheck. And I really mean this. Like, if you take anything away from the 10-15 minutes I've been here, I am not working 80 to 100 hour weeks regularly because I don't like Brawlhalla and I don't like the community, right? PJ is not putting in hours and hours unpaid doing VOD reviews and all this stuff because he doesn't like the community, right? Look, like Sparky, y'all may have feelings about Sparky, but that That guy has literally been doing this for 10 years, right? Like, so
He paved the way almost.
He used to pay.
like,
he used
we
to pay
would
his
not
own
have Brawlhalla
journalists.
esports
Yeah.
without Sparky, right? Like, so I really like, I want you guys to leave this and understand that like every single person, both contractor and who works at the company, loves this game. We love this community, and that's the basis of understanding. I know sometimes you don't feel that, and I know sometimes you don't feel that, but like the understanding you need to have and you need to walk away from this is literally, we love this shit, right? Like, and I there are a lot of decisions that we make that we can't share, right? Like, for many reasons. Sometimes they're legal, sometimes they're community, sometimes it's company policy, sometimes it's all sorts of things, right? There are many things that, frankly, the community doesn't need to know the reasoning behind, and I know that sucks to hear. That's how things are. Like, that's the welcome to the real world, right? And maybe I'll get like roasted for that later. But at the end of the day, no one is making a decision because they think it's going to be bad for the community or because they think this is going to increase my paycheck. I'm not doing this job because I'm being paid like the big bucks. Like, esports as a whole, like Diff said it earlier, I'm going to say it very clearly right here. This shit makes us no money, right? Like, this is just spend. This is just community, right? Like, every single esports event you do is just for the community, right? All Moose Wars, Slow Motions, Beater Brawls, SSOW, all of these community orgs, we just give them money every month to run community events with no expected return, right? Like, yeah, I get some metrics, but like, I don't care, right? Like, that's not why we're doing this, right? The BCTI, right, the Brawlhalla Community Tournament Initiative, right, which we started in 2020, I want to say, with the pandemic, we literally have given out, like, it's something crazy. Like, at this point, it's $300,000 or $400,000 in prizing to community groups since 2020, right? Like, I need you guys to understand, like, and I know, Flower, you said this earlier, that we're all here because we love the game, and I agree with that, and it's true, but like, I really need to underscore this and stress this out. We love this game. We do so much for the community with no expectation of the return. And that's just the way it is, right? Like, we don't even have like a tournament license like other people do. I mean, like, we kind of do, but like, do I use it? No.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, if you want to play the game, if you want to do a tournament, just do it. That's cool. That's fun, right? And so, like, I'm going to go to bed. I'm old. I've said this 4 times, right? Like, I am old and I'm tired. I'm going to bed. So I'm leaving after this. But like, I love this game.
Before you go,
we love this game. That's why we're here. We love this community. And I need you guys to understand that, because sometimes I think y'all see it and you're like, these motherfuckers don't fucking like this shit. What are they doing? Why are they doing? And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. And that's really all I want to leave y'all with. Like,
to be honest, like, I think everyone knows that, especially now that you're saying it. Like, you know, that's like kind of the reassurance that everyone wants, like, in the community. Sorry, I'm your pet peeve that everyone wants. I'm just saying what this hyperbole for what I want and what my friends want, what I feel like I've heard people want, is that people want to see, like, that you guys care. Obviously, and we talked about this before. I don't think, especially now, I don't think people doubt that you care, but also, like, even one thing specifically is like what we were talking about before, but, you know, getting more player content and stuff like that. Like, when we say that, like, we're not saying that, like, you guys don't care, like, when we want that. We're just saying what we think would be better for the game, you know what I'm saying? Things like that.
Yeah, I think it's like, you might as well. It's like, if we're gonna have like all this money in the prize pool, we might as well just like have the occasional interview like a week prior. I don't think it'd be that hard to set up. Obviously, people who don't want to do it won't do it, but like, if you ask a bunch of players, I'm sure you'll get a lot of interviews, especially like a week before.
Yeah, and it's not a bad idea, right? And again, the question always comes down to, do we have capacity? And the answer sometimes is frankly no, right? Like, I want to ask you guys, like, real quick, like, how many people do you think work for esports at Brawlhalla? Like, throw out a number, right?
Shit.
14,
like, not including casters.
6
Not
people.
including talent.
Yeah, we're not
6 people.
workers there. We're contracted.
Yeah.
We do nothing but
2
besides
people.
commentary.
2 people.
2 people.
Me
Why-
and left stick down.
Why don't y'all hire more people?
Yeah, what about Sandwick and stuff?
What about like
Contractors.
Ice Pingu?
Sandwick is the contractor for you guys?
Yeah.
I think, okay.
Toast said it earlier. If
Like-
we could hire more people,
Look,
we would, but it's just not within the realm of possibility.
and we're not going to get into kind of corporate shit, right? Like and that's fine. That's not the place. That's not a community thing. That's not a conversation that I should have with you as the community, and that
I get
frankly
that.
you guys don't need to have with me. But like, there's a lot of stuff that we did in 2020. And Stingray, you talk about this as being kind of like the good old days, right? Because it was all online, because the pandemic did a lot. We also did a lot because back in the days, me, Left Stick Down, and V, we did every online event while having full-time jobs on the side, right? And we got paid, you know, not poorly, but like it's esports, right? Like we got paid like it was esports, right? Like we were pulling in 80, 90, 100-hour weeks on the regular, and we were cheap. You know, like, and I talk about it, you know, like I did it in the Trophies podcast last year. Like in 2019, when we did all the dream hacks back then were not what dream hacks cost now. And the cost to produce them and to the production stuff was the payment for like 3 people. And frankly, we were not paid a lot because it's esports, right? It's the creative economy or whatever, right? Like I have a soapbox. I'm not going to get on it, but like, you know, there's in any industry like this where you have a lot of people wanting to do a creative thing. Art's the same way, music's the same way. I was a music teacher. Like, you get people going for working for free, working for exposure, working for low rates, long hours, because it's the dream and you're chasing the dream, right? We're fortunate enough that like we've never been like that kind of company. But like we also, like when David and I and we did this work as a contract team, like we did hustle and we did take a lower pay cut because we had a full-time job on the side and lives on the side, but also because we love this shit. And so like I hate to bring it back because it's not always about money, right? It really is not always about money. But the unfortunate reality is that esports fucking sucks right now. Nobody is making money in esports. No game company is making money off of their esports. There's no sponsors in esports, right? Esports is in just about the shittiest position it's been. Like we talk about the bubble popping. Look, the bubble's still popping, right? Like, and I think that's the way it's going to be. It's like the bubble pops or you take money and you go to esports World Cup, right? And that's a whole nother can of worms that we're not going to open here. But like the bubble has popped. It is popping, and it is just not a very pretty place right now. And so, again, I give this to you because one, I think I like to talk, but two, because I want you to have the context of like, yes, Stingray, you're right, right? Like you're right. Like, yeah, we could try and get folks together a week ahead of time, get some interviews, cut them down.
I wasn't aware that the team was that small, to be honest.
But
That's
like,
I think why it
like,
is the way it is.
It's we do a lot. We hire a lot of contractors, and for me, like, protecting the contractors is really important. That's the lifeblood. Without our contractors, we don't have esports, right? Without our casters, we don't have esports, right? These are the guys who are just like making it work when it comes down to like doing the event, and that's so important. But like when we look at core team, it's 2 people, and I'm a live content guy, right? I'm a broadcast guy. That is what I do, right? Like that's my bread and butter. Like I love broadcast. I love live streaming. I'm not a post-production guy. Fuck post-production. That shit sucks. You know, shout out to all my YouTubers in this call because you're better than me, right? Like you're just, that shit sucks. That's why I became a live streamer back. That's why I started streaming in like 2017 because YouTube sucked. I did YouTube. That shit sucks. Fuck post-production. Anyways. And then like Left Stick is just like the ultimate community guy. Like that dude literally bleeds Brawlhalla. He's not a post-production guy, right?
Wait, is the team you and Left Stick? Is that the team for esports?
Yeah, that's us.
Oh, okay.
I mean, again, people wear many hats. There's other people at the company who help a ton with esports, but their primary role is not esports, right? And that's the reality. That's how things are. Like, so again, like the answer to this is like, yes, this stuff is great. We want to do more of it. The question is always, how do we do that sustainably, and how do we do that in a way where it's still a nice quality, and how do we do it in a way where we're not either breaking the bank on kind of a work-life balance, or breaking the bank on time or logistics or overhead and all those things. And there's a way, right? We're always working towards that way. Like I talked about it last year, like I do have a vision for this esport for many years in the future. Some stuff has worked, some stuff has not worked, and that's how things go. But like it is something we always are thinking about, is how do we create more content and bring more people in, right? And that's the way it is. Sometimes things take time because it's actually not as easy as saying, here, let me do like a OBS Ninja call and bring you in, right? Like sometimes it is that easy and it's great. Sometimes it's not. But again, it's this balancing act of trying to find where things work, where they don't work, how we can do it sustainably. And the sustainability thing is really important. If I pull something really cool off that like I work 120 hours in a week, or the team works 100 hours in a week and they don't go home or whatever, and it hits, that's great. Now can we replicate that and keep doing that? If the answer is no, it's not the right time to do that.
I have one like important question. This is from Costlix. He's asking how come we don't upload like the top 3 sets to the main channel anymore, like just the top
I
sets.
agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
That was how I got pretty big in the scene. I have a set with 700k views. Like that's how I got
we still
popular.
do top 4 to the main channel.
No.
No, I don't think so. Let me check.
Well,
Brawlhalla videos. Nah, y'all don't do. Y'all haven't posted a tournament VOD in 7 months.
Huh.
It was Heimdall.
So is that an unwillingness from the community to watch the esports channel?
Brent, I actually think this is something where we had a conversation about this internally, and this is something that we can check on Tuesday when we're back in the office.
So I mean, Defensa, I could tell you, I mean, from what my perspective is. So like growing up, I went pro in Brawlhalla because I actually saw the Brawlhalla channel and I was seeing tournament sets, and I was like, wait, I can like play on here and be on the channel, and that like motivated me a lot. And I remember like a lot of Sandstorm's like branding, Bebelski's branding, and Boom's branding, it's because like they were pulling millions of views from their tournament sets because it was just that easy to find. It was on the main channel.
Right.
You know, it all made sense. Like even me, like I have sets with like I have multiple sets with over 300k, 700k views, and that's how I built my brand. Like luckily through that, and